Chapter 391. Drink 3. Chua. A corner at the edge of the Weijing Sea domain. Someone pierces through the dome sky and enters the sea domain. It's a golden pung bird. From within the pung bird, Seo Eun-yun and Kim Young-hoon emerge. Splash, splash. It's the seated detachment, standing oblivion avatars of Seo Eun-yun and Kim Young-hoon who were left behind in the Cherry Blossom Dragon Sea domain. After escaping the sea domain, Seo Eun-yun shakes his body. While crossing the sea domain, they had been caught momentarily inside a dimensional fragment filled with mucus, so the avatar's body is covered with sticky mucus lumps. P2E. Seo Eun-yun and Kim Young-hoon spit out the mucus as they look around, nodding to each other when their eyes meet. Pot. Following Kim Young-hoon, they fly for a while and land on an island in the sea domain. In other words, they reach Sacred Orchid Island, where the Wuji religious order initially entered the ancient Force realm. Taught. By the way, why here of all places? Well, I heard that Sacred Orchid Island is originally a gathering place for pirates and scammers, so it's preferred. Tisk, that pirate bastard. Kim Young-hoon clicks his tongue and sits on the dock at Sacred Orchid Island. Seo Eun-yun stands behind him for a moment, gazing up at the sky. Soon, it will be noon, the time when the light of the sea domain will be at its brightest. It's nearly the promised time. And just when it hits noon, Kim Young-hoon, who is sitting on the dock, opens his eyes and looks into the air. Have you arrived, Jin Ma-yeol? Soon after, the void distorts, and the pirate captain of the fighting demon pirate gang, Jin Ma-yeol, appears. While the main body trains at the top of Salt Mountain for the goal set in 100 years, I decided to handle various matters at the sea surface with the seated detachment, standing oblivion avatar used to hold back Yuk Rin. Among the various matters, the main operation is this. The Baek Rin Rescue Plan. Currently, one of the Wuji religious order's guardian ghost kings, Baek Rin, was dragged along with Yuk-yo while trying to protect her, so he has to be rescued before escaping to the bright cold realm. And just as we were struggling to rescue him, we met someone with similar goals to ours. It was Jin Ma-yeol, captain of the fighting demon pirate gang, who claimed to have been betrayed by Yuk Rin. We decided to temporarily join hands for our mutual purposes, and today is the day we plan to meet Jin Ma-yeol on Sacred Orchid Island for discussions. So, you're saying you need our help? Facing Jin Ma-yeol, we drink tea in the cave residence of Chi-Lu, the island lord of Sacred Orchid Island, a 4-axis stage cultivator and the subordinate of Jin Ma-yeol. I have brought refreshments. Please enjoy them to your satisfaction. Though Chi-Lu is a 4-axis stage demon beast possessing the true blood of the lustrous glazed peacock, she politely serves us tea and snacks in the presence of us, at the integration level. Jin Ma-yeol doesn't even glance at Chi-Lu and says, "That's right. As I mentioned before, our fighting demon pirate gang are the innocent victims here. We were merely pawns used and abandoned by Yuk Rin. Therefore, we seek revenge against Yuk Rin, and in the process, we intend to repair and reinforce the Salt Bones ship, as well as steal some of the salt crystal chunks Yuk Rin took. Help us with this." I sip the tea while reading Jin Ma-yeol's words and intent. Claiming to be innocent victims is a blatant lie, however, seeking revenge on Yuk Rin and obtaining salt crystal chunks is true. In other words, his reason for collaborating with us is legitimate. However, isn't there more you haven't told us? I smile coldly and mention the events of that day. When you were attacked by Yuk Rin, we were only hiding. We saw the whole situation unfold. Jin Ma-yeol, if you truly want to join hands with us, confess what you really want. When Jin Ma-yeol was facing Yuk Rin, he mentioned purple soul filling the heavens, which Kim Young-hoon and I had observed from our hiding place. He appears to pause in silence for a moment before speaking. Do you want the purple soul filling the heavens? No, I too have the formula for purple soul filling the heavens. I got it from Yuk Rin. I'm telling you to clearly state your true purpose. He clicks his tongue and frowns. I guess you haven't cultivated the purple soul filling the heavens. That's right, I'm currently occupied with more urgent matters, so I'm just analyzing the formula. That's why you're asking such questions. Telling me to speak the truth. What a joke. If you had practiced purple soul filling the heavens even once, you would have realized what I truly desire. He speaks with a grim smile. Purple soul filling the heavens is a method we cannot cultivate. What? You must have found the purple soul jade seal when your Wuji religious order raided one of our pirate gang's secret docks last time, no? Yes. As you might have guessed, I acquired purple soul filling the heavens through the purple soul jade seal. Strange. I looked at him with doubtful eyes and speak. Our side has a fellow named Seo Ran, who is a half-human, half-dragon hybrid. His dragon lineage is that of the sea dragon race, even of the royal line at that. Yet, even Seo Ran can't even dream of something like purple soul filling the heavens. How did you manage to obtain it? Oh dear, it seems our Wuji religious order's cult leader is not well informed about the fighting ghost race. He smirks and taps the table with his fingers. And suddenly, Pasak, quote. Jin Ma Yal's hand appears to be covered in scales, and his left arm transformed into that of the sea dragon race, covered in blue scales. Our fighting ghost race is part of the Heaven tribe, but was also an old and prestigious race known as the pinnacle of the Earth tribe before we discovered ritual methods. Depending on the number of horns we are born with, we can mimic the physical characteristics of other races, even those born with the bloodline of a mortal beast true blood. Querararik. Jin Ma Yal's eyes shine with the seven-colored light of the lustrous glaze peacock. His hair transforms into that of an unknown sea creature covered in barnacles. His right arm ablazes with fire, becoming that of a demon ape. His cheeks and forehead are adorned with tiger-like patterns, and his body undergoes various changes. We are such a race. Of course, obtaining a mortal beast true blood or fully transforming into a particular race is impossible, but being able to manifest and utilize even a portion of the physical traits of countless immortal beasts is an incredibly advantageous trait for survival. Binding all these traits. Wuduk. The various features on Jin Ma Yal's body seem to gather into his right arm. After a while, with a grotesque sound, Jin Ma Yal's right arm transforms grotesquely. As if blood, flesh, and bone are being inverted, the characteristics of the sea dragon race and 4 other unknown races seem to mix together, transforming his right arm into a sharp grotesque sword. Because our race's combat dance Do Wu can maximize our combat power, the fighting ghost race has always been a species at the pinnacle of life. A voice filled with pride about his own race. The fighting ghost race. However, hearing that seemingly arrogant explanation, I flinch and ask one question. Quote. By any chance, do you know about a talent that allows you to replicate and freely manipulate all immortal beast abilities? There is indeed such a myth in the fighting ghost race. The myth of the body known as the noble blood true sea radiance body Gui Shui Zhen Hai Guang Shen. A legendary body that supposedly allows one to freely harness and wield the powers of all immortal beast bloodlines simply by perceiving them. Of course, it's completely absurd, so scholars of the fighting ghost race say it's a metaphor for a state that our race can aspire to. Quote. I see. Thank you. Are you interested in the myths of the fighting ghost race? Our myths and legends have been passed down in the form of our combat dance or methods, so by learning the fighting ghost race's exclusive methods, one will naturally come to know of them. The fighting ghost race methods good for the human race to learn are probably ones such as the fighting demon true sea radiance, 6 chains forest technique, or fighting demon ghost treasure. He displays pride in the fighting ghost race while introducing me to various methods. Quote. Well, thank you for introducing me to such great methods. Your fighting ghost race truly seems to be an excellent race. Haha, don't mention it. So then, shall we continue with what we were discussing? Sounds good. Anyway, the reason I was able to obtain the secret art of purple soul filling the heavens from the purple soul jade seal is because I once encountered Yuk Rin's main body, who possessed the body of Yuk Ung, and managed to steal the traits of the sea dragon race. Suit. He wriggles his left arm, glaring at the undulating scales of the sea dragon. The reason your hybrid sea dragon companion couldn't obtain anything from the purple soul jade seal is probably just because his cultivation is too low. If he reaches at least the 4-axis stage, he'll likely be able to obtain purple soul filling the heavens from it. Thanks for the useful information. So, what do you mean you can't learn purple soul filling the heavens right now? Jin Ma Yal's face becomes filled with rising anger. He reverts his grotesque sword-turned hand back to its original state and grits his teeth with a look of humiliation. Quote. At first, even after acquiring purple soul filling the heavens, I couldn't learn it. So back then, I thought it was a secret art that only a pure sea dragon race could master, and sought to obtain the dragon form disguise method. I thought if I could obtain the dragon form disguise method and take the form of a sea dragon, I could learn the secret art. However, killing intent radiates from Jin Ma Yal. Sacred Orchid Island Lord Kai Lu, who is waiting beside us, silently bows her head in front of Jin Ma Yal. With a grim expression, Jin Ma Yal presses down hard on Kai Lu's head with his hand. Princess Yukyo, that wretched brat stole my dragon form disguise method. To make matters worse, Yuk Rin broke the official contract with me and even breached our unofficial agreement in the Penglai Island expedition, attacking me and taking away all my spare lives. I glance at the woman called Kai Lu. Her face is being severely crushed by Jin Ma Yal. If this damn thing hadn't hidden Yukyo, I would have found the brat long ago, retrieved the dragon form disguise method, activated it, and learned that even taking the form of a sea dragon wouldn't have allowed me to obtain purple soul filling the heavens. I wouldn't have wasted my precious spare lives on such a worthless endeavor. Damn it, damn it. He glares at Sacred Orchid Island Lord Kai Lu, as if he will kill her, then releases his hand from her head, grinding his teeth. Anyway, I realized I couldn't learn purple soul filling the heavens even with the form of a sea dragon. Even if you have the formula, you too probably can't learn purple soul filling the heavens. Is that so? That's unfortunate. In short, what you want is a method to learn purple soul filling the heavens, right? That's right. Jin Ma Yal nods. And that method, I can only assume it is somehow related to Princess Yukyo. Yukyo, yes. As you can tell from her title, Sacred Orchid Princess, Sacred Orchid Island is officially Yukyo's territory. Of course, the real ruler is this Sacred Orchid Island Lord Bastard, but, anyway, why do you think Yukyo hid in Sacred Orchid Island, and Kai Lu, who claimed to be my subordinate, betrayed me and hid Yukyo? Why do you think that heartless Yuk Rin who has no blood or tears took the salt crystal lump and bothered to take along trash like Yukyo from Penglai Island? Do you think Yukyo holds the secret to purple soul filling the heavens? Well, I don't necessarily think it's to purple soul filling the heavens. It could be a secret related to the sea dragon race, or it could be the formula for the salt sea returning dew jade that Yuk Rin is desperately hiding. But it doesn't matter which. Even if it's not purple soul filling the heavens, obtaining salt sea returning dew jade will suffice. Either way, Yukyo has that much value. Kidnapping Yukyo again and trading her with Yuk Rin to obtain the complete formula for purple soul filling the heavens, that is my desire. I look at Jin Ma Yal for a moment. There is no falsehood in his words, and there is nothing more he is hiding. Of course, there is the ambition for monopolizing Yuk Rin's treasure and a desire for revenge, but that is all. Kim Young-hoon and I have a brief discussion and then make our decision. Considering that Baek Rin's soul plaque hasn't been extinguished in the Wuji religious order, Baek Rin is alive. And if Baek Rin is alive, it's highly likely he is currently with Yukyo. Very well, we will join hands with you, Jin Ma Yal. Haha, I look forward to working with you, devilish cult master. I look forward to working with you too, pirate. Thus, the devilish cult master and the fighting ghost race pirate captain form an alliance to stab the back of the Weijung domain's governing dragon palace lord and kidnap his daughter. Wait for us, Baek Rin. We will rescue you together with Yukyo. I think of Baek Rin, who began to change as he spent time with Yukyo. Though it seems Baek Rin himself is unaware, he is currently in love with Yukyo. Purple soul filling the heavens, huh? I organize the information obtained from the seated detachment, standing Oblivion avatar on top of Salt Mountain and recite the formula for purple soul filling the heavens. I've been neglecting it a bit due to researching the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique and the Salt Sea returning dew jade, but I should look into this as well. After all, it's also an opportunity to uncover the flaws in Seo Weol's tainted soul filling the heavens. I unfold the formula for purple soul filling the heavens. The purple soul filling the heavens has various formulas and mantras, but the most crucial formula consists of 3 sentences. They are as follows. Purple is the most suitable color to hide in the darkness. Carry on life in the darkness where light can never reach. By continuing the inherited life, we shall all finally reach liberation. Chapter 392, Drink 4. Wo Wang. As soon as I operate purple soul filling the heavens, formula, the nascent soul within me trembles. Then, my nascent soul seems to tinge with purple for a moment before transforming into something alien. What is this? I can feel it. Right now, my nascent soul has taken a form, most suitable for seizing another's body. Is purple soul filling the heavens a secret art for seizing someone's body? I frown as I explore purple soul filling the heavens further. And just as I am about to continue operating the formula, it happens. Wo Wang, Pachichit, exclamation mark quote. My nascent soul, which has turned purple, suddenly convulses and releases spiritual power. Soon after, the nascent soul, which has released all the spiritual power stained by the purple of purple soul filling the heavens, returns to its original state. The properties of the nascent soul altered by purple soul filling the heavens has reverted. What the? However, I focus on a different phenomenon rather than the release of the secret art. The formula of the secret art. It resisted as if alive when I tried to activate it. It's a very bizarre occurrence. Is this why Jin Ma Yal said we cannot obtain purple soul filling the heavens? To activate a technique, one must infuse spiritual energy into the formula and trigger it. However, when spiritual energy is infused into the formula of purple soul filling the heavens, it acts as if it's alive, disobeying my command and then dispersing. Formulas cannot be alive, even if you infuse spiritual energy into them, they're just a mass of spiritual energy, not a soul. But something that isn't a soul moves as if it's alive. Interestingly, I know of something similar. It's like a deep-sea monster. In the depths of ancient force realms deep-sea. Monsters born from the amalgamation of various memories and histories of a perished world. That is the deep-sea monster of the ancient force realm. Is this why Jin Ma Yal put so much effort into mimicking the body of the sea dragon race and transforming into a sea dragon using the dragon form disguise method? The sea dragon race is a race that can find the path in the deep sea of the ancient force realm. He likely hoped that for the formula of purple soul filling the heavens, which is akin to a deep-sea monster born from the memories of the deep sea, the sea dragon race could potentially find a way to control it. However, after experiencing the formula, I shake my head. Can the sea dragon race really control a method no different from a deep-sea monster? Honestly speaking, it seems highly unlikely. But Yuk Rin is using it. That's why Jin Ma Yal is trying to approach Yuk Rin to ask about how to use purple soul filling the heavens. This would mean that purple soul filling the heavens is related to the sea dragon race for now. The purple soul jade seal of Yaeum. Purple soul filling the heavens. Tainted soul filling the heavens. Sea dragon king Co Whale. Possessing the body of a sea dragon, Yuk Rin. Salt sea returning dew jade. Yuk Yo. Peng Lai island and salt crystal. Ancient force realm. ... All of these feel like they're connected in some way. Yet, I can't grasp exactly what criteria connects them. It's exceedingly frustrating. While pondering like this, unable to find an answer, I decide to move my seated detachment, standing oblivion avatar. It's then, Wait, I suddenly stop trying to move the seated detachment, standing oblivion avatar and recall the formula of purple soul filling the heavens. Wait. Something seems to come to mind. Seated detachment, standing oblivion avatar. And the purple soul filling the heavens formula. And the incident of Yuk Rin's clone using purple soul filling the heavens to hide in the plane of soul, evading the eyes of both Kim Young-hoon and myself. That's it, purple soul filling the heavens, just like the single strike of seated detachment, standing oblivion, is entirely within the plane of soul. Wo Wang, I focus my consciousness and chant the formula of purple soul filling the heavens, dying my nascent soul. Immediately after, I infuse my nascent soul into the all-heavens sword and swing it towards the void. Single strike of seated detachment, standing oblivion. Chuat, the nascent soul, through the formula of purple soul filling the heavens and the single strike of seated detachment, standing oblivion, begins to rise to the plane of soul. Boang, I can see it. Upon rising to the plane of soul, I can see it clearly. The structure of purple soul filling the heavens. It binds chi to follow the soul. Chi carries history. In other words, chi is information. Seeing from the plane of soul, it's comprehensible. Wo Wang, the formula of purple soul filling the heavens gathers chi on its own and accumulates data internally, functioning similarly to a human soul. And the artificially created quasi-soul moves like a deep-sea monster, attempting to escape my control. Kugugek, together with my nascent soul and the seated detachment, standing oblivion avatar, I seize this deep-sea monster-like data entity on the plane of soul. Kugugugugugu. The data entity generated by the formula of purple soul filling the heavens struggles madly, wriggling to escape from me and the avatar's grasp. However, while it might not have been possible with just my nascent soul, combined with my realm of seated detachment, standing oblivion, the data entity is eventually subdued by us. Quaduduk. I concentrate my consciousness and clutch the barely subdued data entity tightly. And upon reopening my eyes, I find myself with a purple soul filling the heavens that seems somewhat out of my control but still more or less obedient. Ha! That Jin Ma Yal guy. If Jin Ma Yal were to know of this fact, his eyes would probably flip. For someone who has reached seated detachment, standing oblivion, the structure makes it incredibly easy to learn purple soul filling the heavens. But, of course, I am still merely holding the reins of purple soul filling the heavens and haven't completely mastered it. To be honest, purple soul filling the heavens is so violently rampant that I wonder if it's impossible to control it entirely. It feels like I'm just forcibly making it move crudely with the power of seated detachment, standing oblivion from the plane of soul. If you don't possess the power to reach the plane of soul, is it even possible to learn it? I operate purple soul filling the heavens and move the purple-tinged nascent soul in the void with my eyes closed. Wo Wang. The nascent soul in the void smoothly melts into the darkness and suddenly appears 10 jong away. I see. Only now do I understand the principle that allowed Xiao Wei'ol to infuse tainted soul filling the heavens into my shadow last time. Purple soul filling the heavens is capable of moving through darkness in a form similar to the heart language of the heart tribe. Assuming purple soul filling the heavens and tainted soul filling the heavens share the same root, Xiao Wei'ol must have hidden tainted soul filling the heavens in the darkness and attached it to my shadow-like heart language. And as soon as I sat on the throne of the Penglai kingdom, Yuk Rin could invade my mind using the same principle. Most likely, Yuk Rin had hidden his purple soul filling the heavens clone in the shadow of the Penglai kingdom's imperial throne. And when I sat on the throne, the moment my shadow and the throne's shadow became one, he invaded my mind. He didn't just walk out from behind the throne looking sly for no reason. Suruk, Sururuk. Penglai Island is currently submerged in the depths of the deep sea, so it's quite dark around. Thanks to this, I am able to experiment with a movement technique using the nascent soul activating purple soul filling the heavens, appearing and disappearing like teleportation across Penglai Island. Within the darkness, a secret art that allows movement anywhere in a form similar to the heart language of the heart tribe. This is part of the power of purple soul filling the heavens. I think I've understood one more principle of tainted soul filling the heavens. In the deep darkness of Xiao Wei'ol's heart essence. It is clear why Xiao Wei'ol's heart essences, which must be located far apart in distant places, could communicate over vast space-time and exchange 5 blessings axes. This is because, like purple soul filling the heavens, tainted soul filling the heavens also has the ability to move anywhere within the darkness in the form of heart language. After retrieving my nascent soul back to myself, I activate purple soul filling the heavens again. Surururu. My physical body does not completely disappear as it's not in the plane of soul, but I manage to hide myself instantly as if melting into the darkness. And in this state, I swing the all-heavens sword towards the void. Boang. Record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. In the darkness where no gazes can reach. Within that space, I unleash record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, severing even the perception of those belonging to the darkness. Hey. Ha 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 ha. I laugh. It isn't laughter without reason. With purple soul filling the heavens, I have managed to enter the same darkness as Xiao Wei'ol. If we can both stand in the same darkness, then all that is left is to identify each other within that darkness. And I have record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. Ha 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 ha. Xiao Wei'ol. Now, even if you find your eyes, I am not afraid. I have gained an important weapon to face him. It is an incredibly valuable experience. Pasak. Of course, if there is a downside, it's that the purple soul filling the heavens struggles frantically like mad, requiring a considerable amount of mental strength to restrain it. Using purple soul filling the heavens might restrict my martial arts a bit. Perhaps the number of times I can unleash the single strike of seated detachment, standing oblivion would decrease. But when facing Xiao Wei'ol, there's nothing as effective as this. I briefly experiment with purple soul filling the heavens, taking it a step further from moving through the darkness. Purple soul filling the heavens is a method that gathers energy in the plane of Qi, forming a data entity with that energy, and elevating it to the plane of soul. And thanks to this data entity elevated to the plane of soul, the color of my nascent soul turns purple. And if I gather and mold this data entity, Wu Wang, Kugugugu, around the nascent soul activating purple soul filling the heavens, something like a purple mist appeals. The purple mist growls fiercely like a wild beast, struggling to break free from my control. Stay still. I control the mist with the power of seated detachment, standing oblivion and launch a single strike beyond the barrier of Penglai Island to send an avatar outside. Kugugugu. Through the avatar, I tear through several dimensions of the deep sea. Quang, flash. With every exertion of the avatar's power, dimensions begin to collapse one by one. Dimensions with deep mountains and secluded valleys. Reminiscent of peach blossom gardens, dimensions with fire prisons and blazing flames, dimensions where pitch black oil flows, and dimensions filled with toxic gas. Kuguging. How many dimensions similar to the domains of integration stage cultivators did I push through? Kururum. Within a dimensional fragment, I sense something resonating throughout the entire deep sea. Shortly after, the space above the dimension I am smashing with the avatar shatters, and a bizarre creature resembling a catfish roars. It's a deep sea monster. I send data entities of purple soul filling the heavens that I control through the plane of soul to the avatar. Kugugugu. A purple mist arises around the avatar. Be quiet, Todic. In an instant, I fly through the void and slice the deep sea monster in half, then unleash the power of purple soul filling the heavens that's roaring like mad towards it. Quack. The mist of purple soul filling the heavens, as if it had been waiting, breaks free from my control and swiftly envelops the corpse of the deep sea monster. I can feel it. The purple mist begins to dismantle the information of the deep sea monster. The boundless information and historical knowledge that made up the deep sea monster starts being reconstructed within the purple mist. And in the next moment, pasasasasa, as the purple mist subsides, the deep sea monster in the form of a catfish, somehow shrouded in purple, glares at me from within. The wound I had inflicted is gone. Kaik. Kugugugu. It charges at me once more. As I roughly counterattack the creature, I realize it's gotten stronger than before. Purple soul filling the heavens had entered its body, taken over the deep sea monster, discarded its bad parts, and compacted the good parts, resulting in its evolution. After a brief confrontation with the creature, I split it in half once again. Cooing. Where the deep sea monster fell, an ancient stone the size of a fist remains, and the purple mist seems to drift in the void before adhering to the ancient stone as if absorbed. This is. Then, the formula of purple soul filling the heavens begins to emerge over the ancient stone. Wo Wang. I shudder as I read the formula of purple soul filling the heavens that rose above the ancient stone. The formula has changed. I recite the changed formula and activate it once more. And I realize, purple soul filling the heavens has evolved. Of course, it isn't a massive evolution, it's merely an additional line about how to deal with slashes, but evolution is still evolution. A method that disassembles and absorbs the soul and information of the opponent to evolve. So, this is purple soul filling the heavens. Originally, it isn't a mist but rather a method where my nascent soul is completely assimilated with purple soul filling the heavens, allowing me to erode and devour my opponent to evolve. However, I have not yet fully assimilated my nascent soul with purple soul filling the heavens, so I can't erode opponents yet. With this, I've somewhat grasped purple soul filling the heavens. It's a pity I can't evolve by eroding the opponent, but that's not what I wanted in the first place. More importantly, being able to move freely in the darkness means I can quickly find Taoist Baek Rin. Smiling faintly, I try to transfer the newly acquired power of purple soul filling the heavens to the avatar on the sea surface. And then, I shudder. Wait, suddenly, a thought crosses my mind. Purple soul filling the heavens is a secret art that disassembles and absorbs the opponent to erode and evolve. And tainted soul filling the heavens is a secret art that disassembles oneself to infect the opponent. If that's the case, can't I absorb Co Whale's tainted soul filling the heavens configurations with purple soul filling the heavens? Chapter 393, Drink 5. Basement of Governing Dragon Palace. Within a certain prison located there. No one has set food in the underground prison recently, but the footsteps of demon beasts echo. Clang, cooing, get in, and Princess Yukyo, this way, please. What the demon race dragged in is a ghostly creature with only white bones remaining, Baek Rin. Alongside him was Yukyo, known as the Sacred Orchid Princess. After a brief commotion, a demon beast and a ghostly creature are each locked in different cells. Yukyo, imprisoned, bites her lip as she grasps the iron bars. They're really locking me up. In response to her words, the sea demon beasts who captured and imprisoned her and Baek Rin click their tongues and speak. It's not the first or second time the princess has tried to escape with that ghostly creature. It seems the palace lord is very angry, so please reflect on your actions. After finishing their words, they leave the underground prison. UGK, Yukyo shakes the iron bars in the underground prison, but perhaps due to the chains binding her arms and legs, she can't exert her proper strength. The same is true for Baek Rin, who is imprisoned a couple of cells away. After trying to escape for a while, Yukyo sighed and sat down. Prison, now he's not even treating me as a daughter anymore. Well, hasn't the princess tried to escape so many times before? Thanks to the princess, I'm stuck in this prison as well and look like a mess. At Baek Rin's words, Yukyo smirks. Who told you to follow me? A scammer like me. I told the princess before, didn't I? The cult leader ordered me to look after the princess. That damn cult leader, aren't you tired of it? Always being under someone. If it were me, I'd have escaped to find freedom. The princess may not understand, but I prefer being tied to someone. Ha, you're a frustrating cultivator. Wait, come to think of it. Yukyo asks Baek Rin. When did you start addressing me as princess? Even after you heard I was the daughter of the palace lord, you didn't seem to care. Baek Rin remains silent at her words. Yukyo ponders for a moment and then claps her hands. Oh, right, it was after you returned from Penglai Island, wasn't it? Hee, you were the shaman who showed extreme loyalty to the nation of Penglai Kingdom, no? Baek Rin seems to recall past events and smiles faintly. It seems that loyalty to the royal family still lingers. It was truly an amazing illusion. Yukyo gnashes her teeth and retorts sharply at his words. How many times do I have to tell you? This world is fake, and Penglai Kingdom is real. After escaping from Penglai Island, Yukyo didn't have her memory seal reimposed. Therefore, she vividly remembers everything from Penglai Kingdom. Baek Rin laughs heartily and says, how can a supposedly real world disappear like a mirage when a single palace is uprooted? Isn't that just an illusion? An illusion, you say? The formation at Penglai Island is merely the entrance to enter Penglai Kingdom from this world, not Penglai Kingdom itself. Kwang, Yukyo, emotional, slams the iron bars violently, causing blood to flow from her hand. Aiya, it hurts. Is your skin weak, even though you are of the demon race? The term demon race is funny too. In Penglai Kingdom, I was a half-human, half-dragon, and my identity leaned toward being human. But upon coming out, I found that I'm actually a hybrid demon race with just a trace of carp and sea dragon blood. And, in this world, for some reason, my human bloodline vanished, so I became part of the demon race. Right after that, my father sealed my memories, so I just lived as if it had always been that way. You were originally half-human, half-dragon, is that why you, towards Sir Seo ran? I didn't know at the time, but thinking back now, that's probably it. Maybe I was drawn to him because we share the same half-human, half-dragon identity. She fiddles with her wounded hand and sighs. Losing blood is making me feel cold. Even though you've reached the nascent soul stage, you haven't obtained a resistance to cold and heat. If you've obtained the yin spirit, it would be fine even if your demonic power is sealed. Don't just speak recklessly because you're a ghostly creature. Do you think resistance to the power of yin comes easily? Baek Rin chuckles as he stands up. Then, with his skeletal hand, he knocks on the wall of his cell. Clang! When Baek Rin, a four-axis ghostly creature, strikes the iron bars, the sound of metal reverberates. Clang! Clang! Watching Baek Rin, Yukyo asks. What are you doing? I'm trying to move to the adjacent cell. Why? Clang! 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 There's a moment of silence, with only the metallic sound echoing underground. Yukyo asks again, why are you trying to come to me? She looks at Baek Rin's eyes, glowing with ghost fire. Within his gaze, she can sense some emotion directed at her. Don't come. You can't even use spiritual power. Instead, use that effort to undo the handcuffs or shackles. Do you know why I consider that world an illusion? Why? At Baek Rin's words, Yukyo looks at him with a puzzled expression. Baek Rin smiles bitterly. Inside, I dreamed of losing the person I loved again. And my sole purpose there was one. To defeat the king of demon spirits and marry the princess. AHK. Hearing his words, Yukyo's face turns slightly red. After coming out, I had brief conversations with other comrades. And from what I heard from the Six Extremes Ghost King and the military strategist, I found a commonality among those who were possessed by that world. What is it? It is that the possessed experience their most painful situations. In that world, everyone must face their own pain, whether they want or not. I felt such things in that world. It seemed as if the world itself was trying to give the possessed some sort of lesson. Doesn't it feel like a fairy tale world? A fairy tale that gives a lesson to its reader. Of course, it's not a hopeful fairy tale. It's a story that forces open the reader's wounds and sprinkles salt on them. One feels the pain of having their wounds seared. But just as searing wounds with salt disinfects them despite the pain, the hearts of those who enter become stronger. Clang. Baek Rin knocks on the bars. Baek Rin and Yukyo's eyes meet each other. Quote. I knew it too, that I didn't follow you merely because of the cult leader's order. In fact, I don't have much loyalty to the cult leader. I joined the order only because I saw my friends doing well. But it seems that until now, I was trapped in love, regret, and despair for my old friends, turning a blind eye to everything else. Quote. I have come to love you, Princess Yukyo. Kong. The sound of metal echoes once again from the underground. Quote. That world must be an illusion. Because, only then will you remain in this world. At Baek Rin's words, Yukyo bites her lip. Quote. It's not an illusion. That world is real. Why do you say that? Because the childhood I spent there, and the love I received from my mother there, are not lies. There is a person who loves you here as well. Kong. Yukyo clenches her teeth. Quote. Why are you so obsessed with me? I've even deceived you before. I don't care even if I am deceived. I might continue deceiving you. Isn't it because the princess thinks this world is fake that you keep doing such deceitful things? That's right. This world is fake anyway. But my feelings are real, Princess Yukyo. I know you are not that kind of person. Even if it's only the memories of a shaman from Penglai Kingdom, I know very well that you are a kind-hearted person who cares for your people. At Baek Rin's words, Yukyo's lips tremble slightly. You said you were born in that world. I remember the you from that world. Would you lie to someone like me as well? At his words, Yukyo chews her lip. Blood drips from her mouth. You think of that world as an illusion. If so, my image there is fake regardless. Do you still think the same when I am just a scamming carp woman in this world? She asks Baek Rin with a sneer. If I were to really go back to that world, would you be able to follow? To that world you believe to be an illusion or a dream? At those words, Baek Rin laughs, his jaw opening wide. If you wish, I will follow. Quote. There was a time I regretted not seizing the moment. I will not let it happen again. Baek Rin's face consists only of a skull. But just for a moment, Yukyo feels as if she glimpsed Baek Rin's living appearance on his visage. Yukyo averts her gaze from Baek Rin with a stiff expression. Quote. Do as you wish, and as I said before, if you continue doing that, you'll just end up breaking your bones. I don't mind. Kong. Quote. Do whatever you want. Without looking at Baek Rin, Yukyo sits down and buries her face in her knees. She seems to be asleep. However, the sound of Baek Rin striking the bars continues to ring, and something trickles down her cheek, where her face is buried, and falls from her chin. Yukyo ignores Baek Rin. After all, he would give up eventually. But 10 years pass. Yuk Rin doesn't particularly care about the underground prison, and neither do the guards. In the prison where no one enters. There, Baek Rin continuously strikes on the iron bars. Pasasic. Baek Rin's right hand has already turned to dust. But he continues to strike the bars with his right arm bone and left hand. Cock. At last, a part of the bars break. Just enough for a hand to fit through. Yukyo clicks her tongue as she watches him. Quote. Stop doing such stupid things. Baek Rin silently continues to strike the bars. 20 years have passed. By now, one side of Baek Rin's cell bars have collapsed. Since Baek Rin and Yukyo were originally imprisoned one cell apart, Baek Rin still has to break through another wall. But at some point, both of Baek Rin's arm bones have crumbled completely. Yet, Baek Rin lifts his legs and kicks the bars. Occasionally, he rams his body against the bars. Yukyo simply watches Baek Rin quietly. Baek Rin's body crumbles, but the bars of her cell are gradually shaking. Amidst the indifference of Yuk Rin and the officials of governing Dragon Palace, a ghost and a demon beast are slowly, little by little, coming closer together. 30 years have passed. Baek Rin's left side has worn away and vanished, and his left leg has turned to dust. But Baek Rin continues to slam into the bars with his one remaining leg. Kong. Paysack. Finally, one of the bars between Yukyo and Baek Rin slightly crumbles. But Yukyo shouts at Baek Rin. Stop it already. How long are you going to keep this up? Baek Rin only smiles. We're almost there, can't you see? See what? All I see is your body being smashed to pieces. Your strength is waning as your body crumbles, so what am I supposed to see? Are you the one who can't see? Baek Rin's eyes brighten silently. And once again, he leaps on one foot and rams his body against Yukyo's wall. Kong. Tuduk. One of Baek Rin's remaining ribs shatters. Quote. I see it, very clearly, but just why? Didn't you become a ghostly creature because you didn't want to die? What are you doing now? At her words, Baek Rin chuckles. And he crashes into it again. Yukyo seems about to say something more but closes her mouth as she watches him. And so, 40 years have passed. Pasasic. Baek Rin's body is completely destroyed. All that remains now is his skull. No, even the jawbone of his skull is shattered. And the 40 years feel meaningless. Baek Rin failed to reach Yukyo. Yukyo looks at Baek Rin's skull with empty eyes and speaks. Quote. How many times did I tell you? You'd fail. Quote. You can't even use mental speech because your spiritual power is sealed. It's pathetic. Quote. How stupid. Why didn't you just stay put? What? Say something as you usually do. Like asking if I slept well in your greasy manner or assuring me today is the day. Go on, try again. Quote. In the end, I am right. Just staying still was the best plan. You made a small hole, but this is the end, isn't it? Your body is utterly wrecked for nothing. This is ridiculous. Quote. Say something. Wo Wong. The circuit drawn on Baek Rin's skull buzzes softly. It seems like he is trying to say something to her. However, the sound is too faint to hear. Quote. Of course, after ramming your head so much, that circuit's broken too. You used to brag about receiving it from the cult leader, and now it's a tattered mess. Now that you can't even say what you want to say, what will you do? Ha, geez. Yukyo looks at Baek Rin for a moment and lets out a hollow laugh. Quote. It's finally quiet now. Do you know how noisy it was all this time? It's peaceful. Without that noisy clang and breaking sound, I can finally sleep a little more comfortably. She lays back down on her spot and closes her eyes. Baek Rin just silently watches her. And 3 days later, clang. Yukyo begins to strike on the bars. She clenches her teeth. Why? After coming this far, why did you stop there? Baek Rin silently watches her. This far, you made a hole, just a little more. Regardless of everything, what you were trying to do could have been completed. So why did you stop there? Splurt. Blood bursts from her hands. Due to not inheriting much dragon blood, she has the fragile skin of a carp. However, Yukyo continues to pound on the bars even as blood gushes out. She has been listening for decades now. Even without hearing for 3 days, it's as if something is grating her ears. Yukyo, for the first time in her life. No, to be exact, for the first time since following Baek Rin out of Kunglai Island. She shouts not out of desperation, but with sincerity. Let me hear your voice. Why did you stupidly crush your jaw to the point where you can't speak anymore? Clang. 60 years have passed. Is it at last? Or is it only now? In any case, Yukyo, after pounding on the bars until her hands have torn, is able to connect Baek Rin's cell in her own. Dururuk. She extends her foot into Baek Rin's cell. This is because she can no longer use her hands. Quote. Are you satisfied now? Yukyo asks as she pulls Baek Rin's skull towards her. Then, facing Baek Rin's skull, she presses her forehead against it for a moment. Wo Wong. Baek Rin's skull resonates. Through the fine circuits drawn on his skull, Yukyo finally hears Baek Rin's voice. Wo Wong. After listening to Baek Rin for a while, Yukyo clenches her teeth. Quote. Was it just to say something like that? Wo Wong. Yukyo looks at Baek Rin for a while and then laughs. A single tear flows down her face. You could have just said, good morning, like you used to. Just that one sentence would have been enough. As Yukyo speaks, tears stream down on Baek Rin's head. If only you broke your handcuffs, if only you broke your iron bars and escaped, that would have been better. Though she cries out, Yukyo knows as well. Even if the cuffs shatter, the restraint embedded in their nascent soul wouldn't disappear. Even if they break through the iron bars, as long as they are within governing Dragon Palace, all their actions are visible to Baek Rin, so it's meaningless. Baek Rin has simply done what he wants within the confines of his cage. To be with Yukyo. And Yukyo, knowing that fact, can do nothing but hold Baek Rin's skull and cry out in tears. And so 4 years pass. Quagwagwagwong. Within the prison, Yukyo, who was sleeping with a skull in her arms, wakes up to a sound as if heaven and earth are being torn apart. Kugugugu. The entire governing Dragon Palace is shaking. With the vibrations, the underground prison, which no one paid attention to, twists, and the bars of the cell where Yukyo is confined violently distorts. Ka-kong, kong. With a single shake, Yukyo gains the opportunity to escape from the cell. Ghost fire flares up in Baekrin's eye sockets. Yukyo listens to Baekrin's small whisper as her eyes shine. Quote. He sure comes late. Your cult leader. Wang. Whoa Wang. You're saying we should escape, right? I understand. She takes Baekrin and steps outside. Kiek. As she ascends from the underground prison, she squints her eyes. The prohibition of the entire governing dragon palace is being shaken, and countless subjects of the palace are in chaos. It's the perfect time to escape. However, Yukyo does not escape outside but rather heads further into the interior of governing dragon palace. Wang. Whoa Wang. Where am I going? Isn't it obvious? A certain poison burns in Yukyo's eyes. Since my nature is that of a thief, I'm going to steal what my father cherishes the most. Cooing, cooing. Amidst the bombardment of the fighting demon pirate gang attacking governing Dragon Island. In that way, Yukyo and Baekrin walk toward somewhere. Chapter 394, Drink 6. Kuguguguging. A massive sword light shines as it intercepts governing Dragon Island. From the opposite side, a golden saber light glows and slices through the governing Dragon Island. It's a joint attack by Kim Young-hoon and I. That took a while. There is a reason it took so long for Kim Young-hoon and me to strike governing Dragon Island. First of all, it's betrayal. Both Kim Young-hoon and I are aware of Jin Ma-yeol's true nature and know he is someone who would stab us in the back given the chance, so we had to find a way to restrain him. To prevent Jin Ma-yeol from betraying us, I had to procure the black ancient paper that originally mediated the contract between Yuk-rin and us, and slowly send it up from Punglai Island. It was an incredibly difficult task because it required using the All-Heaven Sword to elevate the material to the plane of soul, hence it took quite a bit of time. Secondly, even if we managed to rescue Baekrin, we had to plan how to bring him to Punglai Island. Even if we managed to save Baekrin, there was no answer if Yuk-rin tried to capture him again, so we needed a way to quickly bring him back to Punglai Island before Yuk-rin could take action. In that regard, both Jin Ma-yeol, who has extensive experience in the ancient force realm, and Buk Hyung-hwa provided assistance. Should we use the Salt Bones ship as a middle zone to leap across the sea domain? Even though the Salt Bones ship can dive into the depths of the deep sea, it's impossible to dive deeply enough to Punglai Island. Therefore, the suggestion was to submerge the Salt Bones ship as far as it could dive, and then create a middle zone that jumps between sea domains to bring Baekrin back. With her advice and Jin Ma-yeol's cooperation, more time was spent modifying the Salt Bones ship to be used as a middle zone. During that process, there was some friction with the fighting demon pirate gang, and the modification time was extended as Jin Ma-yeol occasionally felt displeasure. It was due to these reasons that it took almost 80 years to finally come to rescue Baekrin. It's going well. The plan must not have any mistakes. It's already been nearly 100 years since Yuk-rin acquired enough salt crystals to master Salt Sea returning Du Jade to great completion, so his power must be beyond imagination. Wang. Jin Ma-yeol's projection appears beside me, arms crossed as he speaks. I glare at him. If your pirate gang had cooperated earlier, we could have come faster. You're the weird one for spending so much time to save one subordinate. And with you modifying my ship like that, of course there would be resistance, would there not? You agreed because it's beneficial to you as well. Thanks to Conqueror King Buk Hyung-hwa's modifications, your ship's performance has improved nearly tenfold. Regardless, it's still just a lower-tier version of your Buk Hyung fleet. Enough with the small talk. It's about to begin. You better do your part properly. You're one to talk. Jin Ma-yeol retorts sharply before releasing the projection. Kugugugugug. At the center of the governing dragon palace. There, Yuk-rin, who seems to have completely adapted to the body of Yuk-ung, reveals his enormous form. Around him, several of his 4-axis stage vassals appear. Jing. As soon as he reveals himself, the entire sea of the ancient force realm hums. Salt Sea returning Du Jade truly seems to resonate well with the sea of the ancient force realm. ZZZZT. This is insane. From the other side, Kim Young-hoon sends a heart message asking if it's okay, sensing something unusual. Facing Yuk-rin's main body, I realize. One sea domain in the ancient force realm is practically no different from his domain. The Heaven tribe unfolds an integrated Tao domain, while the Earth tribe assimilates it into their bodies. Then, what about those who practice Heaven and Earth dual cultivation? It's simple. They can do both, unfold and assimilate. Moreover, they can do so simultaneously. Have you forgotten that last time when you couldn't oppose me with those feeble avatars? Now, over 100 years later, you've come to find me after my divine method has reached new heights. You must be asking for your insignificant avatar to be erased, right? Wang. Yuk-Rin's body gradually transforms as if embodying the blue sea. His mane becomes the storm. His scales become the waves. Jing. In addition, the entire Wei Jiangxi domain resonates with Yuk-Rin at its center. I break out in a cold sweat. In truth, right now he can treat the entire Wei Jiangxi domain as his domain in addition to the domain he's assimilated with his body. Therefore, he is essentially at the grand perfection integration stage of heaven and earth dual cultivation. Almost rivaling my main body. It isn't just at the level of the three great ultimates. I would have to unleash all of heaven, earth, heart, and puppet. But I smile slightly. How frightening. Boang. Ignoring whatever he is babbling about, I once again unleash a single strike of seated detachment, standing oblivion. Quaduduk. A transparent scar seems to appear on Yuk-Rin's body, but it heals instantly. He laughs with his moon-like eyes shining and his voice resonating powerfully. How foolish. Even though this palace lord gave you a chance to flee, you persist. Admittedly, you are difficult to catch, but as the entire sea domain is akin to my domain, from the moment you use the Wei Jiangxi domain as the battlefield, you have essentially entered my belly. Indeed, mastering Salt Sea returning Dew Jade to this extent is slightly intimidating with an avatar. But isn't there one thing you've misunderstood? I speak with a sly grin. At the integration level, one doesn't engage in battles they cannot win. Ahahaha, you lot must have something hidden. Let's stop babbling with our mouths. I take a stance and, with the All-Heaven sword, once again deliver a single strike of seated detachment, standing oblivion at Yuk-Rin. He is wounded once more, but he snorts. To him, this level of injury seems as trivial as a core formation stage head being cut off. He appears perfectly fine. Is this the power of the strongest in the Wuji religious order, the cult leader? Truly nothing has changed in over 100 years. Ahahaha, ah, that is true. I grin as I move erratically around Yuk-Rin, drawing his attention. It's an amusing sight. Even just 80 years ago, I was the one facing Yuk-Rin head-on while Kim Young-hoon was the one using speed to draw his attention. But now, it is me focusing on distracting him and scattering his attention. The reason is simple. Kugugugugu. The eyes of Kim Young-hoon, who is concentrating behind me, brightens. To Kim Young-hoon, who is communing with the enlightenment of Jang Ik, an opportunity to commune in the confines of a narrow space for 80 years was granted. 80 years of embedding Jang Ik's Padao into Kim Young-hoon. Can you imagine it? Do. What? The sea domain trembles. Jang Ik's enlightenment, and the enlightenment of Great Desert to Dead Sea through communing with me. And through sharing enlightenment with heavenly being and four-axis cultivators, there is a man who obtained the enlightenment of celestial energy guidance and attraction force, integrating it into his weapon. The light of the entire Wei Jiangxi domain seems to focus momentarily on a small saber. It isn't an illusion. In that brief moment, the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the entire Wei Jiangxi domain was indeed sucked into that small saber. The saber called Surpassing Radiant. That saber is united with the man's hand as one. He is surpassing radiant, and surpassing radiant is him. For a moment, I see the vision of a golden pung bird roaring out from behind Yuk-Rin. You bastard! Around Yuk-Rin, white salt crystal-like grains of spiritual energy emerge. He appears to transform from a blue dragon into a pure white dragon in an instant. White dragon Yuk-Rin glares at Kim Young-hoon and opens his mouth. From his mouth, a compressed dragon wave capable of encompassing the entire sea domain within its range shoots out. A dragon wave clearly stronger than it was 100 years ago. This is the power of a dragon. But do you know, there is a bird known as Garuda Jin Kai now. This bird is said to cause thunder with a flap of its wings, break the world's cycle, and devour dragons. Surpassing radiant Genesis form, Ling Guang Kai Pai Xing. First style Di Yi Shi. A martial art created by Kim Young-hoon upon witnessing the enlightenment of the heaven collapsing esteemed. 1. Surpassing Radiant Genesis painting, Ling Guang Kai Pai 2. Its first form. Golden Wing defiles the light, Jin Kai Mie Guang. Editor. Garuda Jin Kai now literally means, gold-winged bird. The saber, concentrated with the light of heaven and earth, is swung. The next moment, all the light between heaven and earth is severed. That is the only way to describe it. It's as if the entire world has been enveloped by the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts for an instant, making it impossible to perceive anything. And when that fleeting, unperceivable world finally vanishes and perception returns, I feel the illusion of a golden flash descending upon the entire world. It's as if a golden wing momentarily obscures the light and then gently lets the light shine again. Yuk-rin is. I look at the spot where Yuk-rin had been. Yuk-rin is no longer there. I turn to look at the horizon opposite from where Kim Young-hoon stands after swinging his saber. There he is. After being hit by Kim Young-hoon's single strike, Yuk-rin had been flung to the edge of the sea domain's horizon. As if he can't believe he was so wretchedly blown away in a place that is essentially his own domain, an immense sense of humiliation and disgrace emanates from the distant Yuk-rin. Not just humiliation, he's taken a significant hit. If I were to compare it to the core formation stage, it isn't merely a cut to the torso, but a considerable strain on his golden core. Do you understand now, Yuk-rin? I speak with a sly smile. Our power is already equal to yours. Whether he heard my words or not, I can see his eyes turning white with rage. Even if there are some endurance issues due to the small amount of energy, the power of a Heart Tribe's avatar is identical to the main body. Originally, I intended to join forces with Kim Young-hoon if Yuk-rin's power, enhanced by learning the Salt Sea returning Dew Jade, turned out to be unexpectedly strong. But after witnessing the recent exchange, my thoughts change. To that, as Kim Young-hoon passes by me, we exchange glances. Now, Kim Young-hoon will face Yuk-rin alone. Turning my attention to the stunned officials of governing Dragon Palace, who are in disbelief at the recent strike and are staring in shock in the direction where their palace lord had been flung, I brandish the All-Heaven's sword. I will count to 10. If you surrender within that time, you won't meet a harsh fate. At my words, several cultivators at the 4-axis stage affiliated with the governing Dragon Palace flinch and exude killing intent. It seems they are not inclined to surrender. Perhaps it's because they judged my avatar to be only at an ordinary early integration level compared to Kim Young-hoon. 1, 2, 10. Using the counting method I learned from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, I count to 10 and swing the All-Heaven's sword. Wait for us, Baek-rin. We have come to rescue you. Step, step. Yuk-yo succeeds in reaching the depths of governing Dragon Palace while holding Baek-rin's head. Already, her body is adorned with glittering ornaments. What's this? Given father's personality, if I had come this far, he would have at least sent a split soul as a warning. Yet, even after reaching the area she is concerned about, there is no sign of Yuk-rin stopping her. A sly smile appears on Yuk-yo's face. It seems they are fighting well outside. Seeing as father can't pay attention even though I've entered this far. Wo Wang, Baek-rin's skull vibrates. Still, there must be a prohibition or something guarding in place. Don't worry. Given father's nature, he would guard it himself rather than entrust it to someone else. Creak. With a confident expression, Yuk-yo opens a door to a secret chamber within governing Dragon Palace. Her eyes catch sight of a large altar, and on top of it, some basic prohibitions are placed on a spirit plaque. Father is confident in his skills and doesn't trust others, so he guards most treasures personally and rarely relies on prohibitions or subordinates. Isn't it clear from the fact that he's only left prohibitions that even a chi refining stage cultivator could undo? Wo Wang, what's that, you ask? Yuk-yo approaches the spirit plaque with a sly smile. It's my father's paternal uncle. My great-uncle inscribed his name onto this black ancient plaque. It's an artifact created for breaking through to the star-shattering stage, but unfortunately, he passed away after contracting some disease before achieving it. On the spirit plaque, the words, Yuk-ung, are engraved in the language of the demon race. This is a name plaque proving my great-uncle's existence, and simultaneously, a symbol recognizing my great-uncle as the owner of the Purple Soul Jade Seal and thereby proving his royal authority. This name plaque is an identity plaque and, at the same time, a contract proving that my great-uncle was acknowledged as the Sea Dragon King of the ancient Force realm. My father is trying to change the name on this plaque to inherit the royal authority of the Purple Soul Jade Seal and become the true Sea Dragon King himself. A thrilling sense of exhilaration passes through Yuk-yo's eyes. If I have this, I can finally escape my father's grasp. Wo Wang. She slowly approaches the spirit plaque known as the Black Ancient Clock. Baek-rin's skull vibrates wildly, but somehow, the closer she gets to the Black Ancient Plaque, the more her eyes become dazed. It's as if she is being enchanted. And at that moment, Wo Wang, with an exceedingly strong vibration trying to convey a message, Yuk-yo regains awareness with a flinch and hurriedly ducks her head. Kuong. She breaks into a cold sweat, turning to see what had just grazed above her head. A long claw mark is etched onto the chamber wall. Dense devilish energy is spewing from the claw mark. Step, step, someone emerges from the shadows of the secret chamber. It's Wei Yun, eyes half rolled back and exuding dark devilish energy. Masters, possession, cannot be touched. Yukyo inhales sharply, looking quite flustered. Father used someone else to guard the black ancient plaque, which he cherishes as much as his life. Wei Yun screams incoherently, as if out of her mind. To that ghastly howl, akin to a wailing ghost, Yukyo spews blood from her 7 orifices and starts to activate the artifacts she had stolen on her way to the chamber. Chapter 395, Drink 7. Yukyo, with her eyes rolled back, scatters the many Dharma treasures she has stolen and swallows elixir pills. Hyok, hyok, kugugugu. A dark crimson devilish fire tries to engulf Yukyo, and she clenches her teeth while avoiding the fire. Fortunately, her accuracy is low since she's not in her right mind. Although Wei Yun possesses the power of the early heavenly being stage, she is merely a puppet moving without a sane mind. Luckily, this is what's keeping Yukyo alive until now, but she senses something strange. Would father really leave someone so mentally unstable right next to the black ancient plaque? No matter how much she thinks about it, it's odd. The Yuk Rin she knows would never do such a thing. It's strange. No matter how much I think about it, it's strange. If the Yuk Rin she knows wouldn't do such a thing, there is only one explanation. There's a high chance something happened to father. Perhaps he has entered the initial stages of chi deviation. If not, he might have fractured his mind while trying to possess Yuk Ung's body. Whatever it is, this is not the behavior of the Yuk Rin she knows. Come to think of it, he's been more lenient with me ever since he returned from Penglai Island. In the past, if she was caught attempting to run away, she would be punished by having her spiritual power sealed and hanging off the cliff of governing Dragon Island for half a year. He had an attitude that didn't care if she died, but this time, he simply locked her in prison for a mere 100 years, which is considerably more lenient. Of course, an ordinary person would die if they were locked in an underground prison without food for over 100 years. But even if rotten, she is still a nascent soul stage of the demon race, so she could survive. She can tell. It started right after returning from Penglai Island. What's the reason? Because he went to Penglai Island? Or because he started cultivating in the Salt Sea returning Dew Jade in earnest? Or maybe just because the biggest obstacles, the Conqueror King and the devilish cult, were trapped in Penglai Island. Kugugugu. A giant skeletal-shaped Dharma form is forming above Wei Yun's head. Crazy. What kind of devilish art is that now? Yukyo breaks out in a cold sweat and raises the magic artifacts she had stolen from Governing Dragon Palace. It's then. Wu Wang. What? Are you crazy? Yukyo glares fiercely at Baek Rin, who is buzzing at her waist. Mumble, mumble, mumble. Wei Yun gathers the power of her devilish art and recites a Dharma formula. Seeing this, Baek Rin buzzes his skull even louder. It's not that I don't believe you. With anxious eyes, Yukyo looks back and forth between Baek Rin and Wei Yun's skeletal Dharma form, then squeezes her eyes shut and grabs Baek Rin's skull. Fine, I get it. Bo-ung. Wei Yun begins to move the skeletal Dharma form. At the same time, Yukyo throws Baek Rin's skull at the Dharma form. Baek Rin's skull strikes the hand of Wei Yun's skeletal Dharma form and shatters into dust. Ah, Yukyo stands there, her mouth agape in disbelief. So very absurdly, Baek Rin has died. No. Is it because Baek Rin died so abruptly? She can't even feel sadness at the current situation. Kia. Wei Yun's skeletal Dharma form screams, engulfed by her devilish fire. Seemingly trying to attack her, the dark crimson skeletal Dharma form gathers devilish fire in both hands and emits ghost fire from its eye sockets. And just as realization hits Yukyo and despair and sorrow registers on her face. Tsutsutsu. Wei Yun's skeletal Dharma form. The fingertips of its hands start turning pure white. Wei Yun looks up at the skeletal Dharma form with eyes that have turned pitch black, seemingly confused. For some reason, the Dharma form seems to be gradually defying her command. Goo. Wei Yun infuses even more devilish energy into the Dharma form, but although the Dharma form grows larger, the speed at which it turns white does not change. And then, finally, Chuaik. The skeletal Dharma form's form turns completely white. And the now white skeletal Dharma form's body appears to burn with blue. In an instant, flash, the Dharma form shines with a white brilliance, and from within, 28 translucent black spikes are ejected. Yukyo realizes what they are and her eyes widen. The 28 restrictions that blocked Baek Rin's heavenly circle and sealed his spiritual power. Those being ejected means, Kugugugu. Moments later, an overwhelming pressure descends upon the chamber. Yukyeo and Wei Yun simultaneously fall to their knees, but Yukyo's eyes brighten. Within the white brilliance, bone dust seems to coalesce, giving birth to a person's silhouette. Sutsutsu. As the white light fades, the silhouette inside opens its mouth. It's a ghost cultivator with a body made entirely of white bones, wearing a long white robe. 13th Guardian Ghost King of the Wuji Religious Order, Baek Rin. I have been resurrected to protect Sacred Orchid Princess Yukyeo. You're really late. Baek Rin withdraws the pressure directed at Yukyeo and points his finger at Wei Yun. Wei Yun, still seemingly unable to grasp the situation, explodes and dies when Baek Rin points at her with his fingertip. Baek Rin extends his hand towards where Wei Yun had been. Shortly after, Wei Yun's bones and a strand of her soul rises to rest on Baek Rin's palm. What will you do with that? Refine it to a ghostly creature. Ah, are you going to use it as your Dharma treasure? No, I plan to grant her citizenship in the Twilight Domain and let her live a new life. Baek Rin chuckles as he speaks. I didn't kill her out of hatred. Her body was completely saturated with blood devilish energy, so I had no choice. I also heard that a girl fell and died due to a subordinate's mistake during the early conquest of governing Dragon Island, and it seems to have been this child. I intend to return her to her parents. Ah, if it's a soul soaked in devilish energy, refining it would make quite the powerful Dharma treasure. It's a shame. Baek Rin looks at Yukyeo and asks her in response to her comment. Didn't Princess say it's nothing but an illusion anyway? Why covet an illusion? That's because it's just an illusion anyway. What does it matter if a non-human in an illusion is refined into a Dharma treasure? Please do not say such things. At Baek Rin's gaze, Yukyeo lowers her eyes and speaks. Quote. If you swear to follow me, I won't say it again. Baek Rin looks at Yukyeo for a moment, then without answering her, silently releases Yukyo's restrictions. Clink, clink, clink. 3 spikes, similar to the ones embedded in Baek Rin's heavenly circle, are pulled out from Yukyo's body. Yukyeo regains her cultivation and immediately flicks her hand to scatter the prohibitions on the black ancient plaque before taking it from the altar. It's done. Finally, a sense of joy wells up in her eyes. The name, Yuk-ung, on the black ancient plaque appears to be shining auspiciously for some reason. With trembling hands, she picks up the black ancient plaque and places it in her bosom. Watching this scene, Baek Rin sends a mental speech, asking curiously. Why not just put it in the storage scroll? If it's the governing Dragon Palace Lord, he must have surely placed a tracking spell without us knowing. No, since he possesses Yuk-ung's body, he would be able to detect the name plaque even without a tracking spell. No, items like the black ancient plaque or the black ancient paper are quite fragile and easy to crumble. They are, after all, replicas of the real black ancient plaque. Even as a replica, for a material that presides over the contracts of integration stage cultivators to be this fragile. Baek Rin looks at the black plaque with an interested expression and then turns his head. Well then, let's get out of here. Then, just as she and Baek Rin are about to exit the secret chamber. Kugugugu. From above the altar where the black ancient plaque was placed, a loud noise erupts and a teleportation array appears. Simultaneously, the attraction force of the entire secret chamber they are in seems to distort, and the chamber itself transforms into the shape of a water droplet, isolated from the surrounding dimension. Yukyeo lets out a hollow laugh as if she has realized something. Ha! Removing the black ancient plaque from the altar causes the nearby area to transform into a middle zone. My father didn't just have someone else guard the black ancient plaque for no reason. Baek Rin attempts to distort the void through attraction force to create an opening in the droplet. However, beyond the void, only the dark scenery of the deep sea is visible. It's useless. This middle zone itself has detached from governing Dragon Island and fallen right into the depths of the deep sea. If we leave here, we'll immediately become lost in the sea. Looking at her, Baek Rin asks, did Princess Yukyeo not say she could find her way in the deep sea? Yukyeo lowers her head, looking embarrassed. Quote. That, back then, I lied to shift Jin Ma Yal's pursuit onto Sir Baek Rin. It's impossible with my sea dragon true blood. Maybe if it were someone on Sir Seo Ran's level. Baek Rin nods and says. In that case, the only options left are to return the black ancient plaque or. Their gazes turn towards the teleportation array above the altar. We have no choice but to board that teleportation array and reach the opposite end connected to this middle zone. Quote. Princess. However, Baek Rin is puzzled to see Yukyo's dark expression. The place connected to that teleportation array. I have a feeling I know where it leads. Where is it? It's probably to Cherry Blossom Dragon Island, but Cherry Blossom Dragon Island is a deep-sea island. It's impossible to get out anyway. This, Yukyo, with a gloomy expression, places the black ancient plaque back onto the altar. Then, the space within the chamber, which had turned droplet-shaped, returns inside Governing Dragon Island. There's no other choice. Let's reunite with the cult leader and the others first, and then maybe we can try retrieving it again. After saying this to Yukyo, he walks towards the chamber door. Yukyo, looking regretful, can't bring herself to let go of the black ancient plaque. And as Baek-rin opens the chamber door, creak, Yukyo and Baek-rin are met by Yuk-rin's main body outside the chamber door, wearing an expression as fierce as an evil spirit. Kung, Baek-rin hastily closes the door, and Yukyo, sweating coldly, retrieves the black ancient plaque from the altar again. Immediately, the chamber they are in reverts to the middle zone settled in the depths of the deep sea. Baek-rin speaks in a low voice. That person just now, yes, that was father's main body. What they saw was Yuk-rin's main body. More precisely, it was Yuk-rin's main body at the mid-integration stage before possessing the physical body of Yuk-ung. Of course, to Yuk-rin, who has taken over the body of Yuk-ung at the grand perfection integration stage, it is no different from a clone, but even that clone is at the mid-integration stage. Baek-rin can't possibly contend against it. Baek-rin lets out a low groan and looks at the teleportation array. Quote. In the end, it seems we have no other choice. Quote. It seems so. Shortly after, Baek-rin and Yukyo tightly shut their eyes and step onto the teleportation array. The light from the teleportation array engulfs them, and they disappear from atop the formation. The deep-sea island beneath Governing Dragon Island. They have gone to Cherry Blossom Dragon Island. Damn. In front of the secret chamber. There, Yuk-rin's clone, with bloodshot eyes, is drawing a formation in front of him with his own blood. It's a teleportation array. No, how dare they try to escape? I cannot allow this. Yukyo must be in my hands. Yukyo must be in my hands. Yukyo must be in my hands. Yuk-rin, who seems mentally unstable for some reason, shouts Yukyo's name as he infuses spiritual power into the teleportation array. Pasak. The blood of the teleportation array seems to ignite, and the formation activates. It's the teleportation array leading to the middle zone where Yukyo and Baek-rin had just been. And just as Yuk-rin, with blood-red eyes, is about to step onto the teleportation array. Where do you think you're going, Governing Dragon Palace Lord? A man dressed in white, holding emptiness in his hand, asks Yuk-rin from behind with a sly smile. Yuk-rin grits his teeth and glares at him with eyes congested with blood. This devilish cult leader bastard. Do not interfere with me. I must regain Yukyo. I must regain Yukyo. Yuk-rin has gone mad. I can only think of it that way. Is it because he learned Salt Sea returning due jade? Or is there some other reason? In any case, his heart essence is bizarrely twisted, and his intent, filled with obsession and possessiveness, is being emitted madly. Evidently, that obsession is directed towards Yukyo. This is not a typical mental illness. Nor is it a normal heart demon. I know well because of experienced mental illness and chi deviation myself. If a mental illness is manifesting in him, it should be an obsession with salt related to the Salt Sea returning due jade he learned, or schizotypal personality disorder due to purple soul filling the heavens. Previously indifferent, yet suddenly having such possessiveness over a daughter he was willing to kill if disobedient is strange. Did some external entity intervene? I can't think of it in any other way. But why Yukyo? That, too, I can't understand. What's with that teleportation array? It looks like it's related to a middle zone. Shut up. If you interfere, I'll kill you, devilish cult leader bastard. Foolish, this is just an avatar. How pitiful. To think that the once dignified dragon king who trapped the entire Wuji religious order 100 years ago has become such a deranged old man. I click my tongue as I watch Yuk-rin, who has bloodshot eyes, gradually transform into his dragon form. And, it seems you're mistaken. The one I found difficult to deal with using my avatar was your main body, not someone like you. This bastard. You dare, to me. Kwang. I land a single strike of seated detachment, standing oblivion directly into his jaws, and as he hesitates, I strike him several more times. Quagwagwagwang. Yuk-rin's body is torn into several pieces and flung outside of Governing Dragon Palace. What a pity. I click my tongue as I step onto the teleportation array Yuk-rin created and activate it. Pot. Crossing over the middle zone, I finally reach the other side and frown. Quote. Is this also Deep Sea Island? Honestly, being stuck on Penglai Island, I am getting a little sick of deep sea islands. This must be Cherry Blossom Dragon Island. In any case, that means Jin Ma Yal will probably soon enter this place. Initially, Yuk Rin was Kim Young-hoon's responsibility. Governing Dragon Island was mine. And Cherry Blossom Dragon Island was meant to be attacked by Jin Ma Yal's Salt Bones ship. It's entirely possible for Jin Ma Yal's Salt Bones ship, which can roam the deep sea, to enter here. Tisk, it would have been nice if the Salt Bones ship could have descended to Penglai Island as well. Unfortunately, the depths into which Penglai Island was plunged is too deep for the Salt Bones ship to enter recklessly. Clearing my mind of unnecessary thoughts, I look around and quickly find Yuk Yo. And alongside her, Beck Rin, Yuk Yo. Ah, cult leader. Beck Rin turns to me and expresses an intent of relief. However, despite hearing that I have arrived, Yuk Yo just stares blankly somewhere. Quote. Question mark. Beck Rin, what is Yuk Yo looking at? With an avatar, I can't exert consciousness on the level of my main body, so I can't immediately discern what they are looking at. I approach Yuk Yo and look at what she is observing. It's a mural, and when I see the drawing on the mural, my eyes contract sharply. Because at the bottom of the mural, there are letters written in a very familiar handwriting, in very familiar characters. I've thought about it deeply. The reason that being gave such excessive gifts to the maggots. It wasn't to assist such maggots in achieving ascension. It was, without a doubt, to liberate ancient force. The hidden library on the top floor of Serving Command Palace. The letters are written in exactly the same handwriting as the ones written on the corner of that library. 396. This is, no doubt about it, why even bother preparing the ascension blessing for maggots? So they can feast harder on high-quality corpses. The highest floor of Serving Command Palace. The script written in the corner of the Hidden Floors library, which appears when controlling the formation of Serving Command Palace, is the same ancient language as this text, and in the same handwriting. It means the same person wrote it. It's the answer to the self-question from back then. I've thought about it deeply. The reason that being gave such excessive gifts to the maggots. It wasn't to assist such maggots in achieving ascension. It was, without a doubt, to liberate ancient force. After reading the phrases once more, I extract several pieces of information. First, the author of this text harbors great resentment and malice towards cultivators. The sentence treats all cultivators as maggots and simultaneously seems to deny the ascension of cultivators. It's as if they are denying the existence of those rank lower than themselves. Though, they themselves were probably just a low-ranking cultivator in the past. It makes me wonder if they were born with an excellent immortal beast true blood, or perhaps had high-ranking parents. Second, the Serving Command Seal is a gift someone deliberately placed in the head realm. The heavenly craftsman who created the Serving Command Seal, who exactly is that person? What the text refers to as 9 times out of 10 the Serving Command Seal, and the fact that it's placed in the head realm strongly suggests it was made by the heavenly craftsman, who created the original of the immortal treasure replica, Nether Crossing ship. But it's strange. I feel an odd sense of familiarity for some reason towards this being called the heavenly craftsman. Did I perhaps meet them at some point? Maybe it's because of Buk Hyunghwa. I don't know why, but I have a baseless delusion that the heavenly craftsman would somehow be favorable towards me. Anyway, third, the writer of this text mentioned that the purpose of the Serving Command Seal is to liberate something called Ancient Force Guli. Indeed, the Serving Command Palace is also called the Liberation Palace. There was much debate in the head realm about why the Serving Command Palace is called the Liberation Palace and why it holds the power of liberation. Some said it's to liberate ancient souls in the head realm, others said it's to unleash forgotten treasures, and some believed it's to dissolve a certain formation. Of course, no one knows which of these is true. When the battle with Yuan Li began, Serving Command Palace certainly liberated him with the power of liberation. Serving Command Palace definitely possesses the power of liberation and is itself an immortal treasure that can move fate. Thinking back, it is a bit terrifying. Is it because I already met her, the immortal treasure Heavenly Lightning Banner? Thinking about it again, one can say the Serving Command Seal is also considered a type of immortal treasure. Could it have also been a living thing? Moreover, unlike Zhengli, the Serving Command Seal is an immortal treasure with no seal whatsoever. Recalling this, I feel a sudden chill run down my spine. It was truly a frightening matter when reflected on. Single quote. Indeed, I must be cautious when descending to the head realm. If the serving command seal is truly alive, it would mean that in the head realm, where even Zhengli was so terrified of and sealed in, the serving command seal remained of its own will. I shake my head and shift my thoughts. Thinking too long about those things is detrimental to my health. Anyway, the serving command palace was created to liberate ancient force, or so the writer of this text believes. Then, what exactly is this ancient force being referred to here? If I think simply, it would be related to the ancient force realm. However, I believe there is something more hidden in this word called ancient force. Ancient force. What exactly does it symbolize? The ancient force realm resonated with the great mountain-splitting emperor technique. This world is related to Salt Mountain. And Cheonman Ryong definitely turned into a salt pillar from observing the heavens from the lower realm. The head realm is also related to Salt Mountain. Then, could this ancient force also be related to the owner of Salt Mountain? I ponder as I rack my brain. Of course, since I know too little at this point, I can't say anything with certainty. For now, these are the 3 pieces of information I managed to deduce while reading the text. I'll have an opportunity to learn more about this later. After examining the text, I turn my gaze to the mural. This mural it closely matches the characters inscribed on the purple soul jade seal. Blood yin, lofty dragon, ancient force, myriad realms beneath. Ah, I see, I understand as I look at the shadowy mass fighting a dragon in the mural. That is the same mass I saw in the painting in the Zyaji worship layer of lofty dragon true person's storage scroll. I feel a certain sensation from that drawing, and it's evident that the drawing itself is slowly converting the surrounding heaven and earth spiritual energy into devilish energy. Now, I finally understand why Blood Yin is engraved on the top of the purple soul jade seal. Blood Yin realm, the space unfolded by Sia Wayol and formed from twisting the outskirts of the netherworld, called the Blood Yin Ghost Valley Labyrinth. Inside that space, Sia Wayol had opened the entrance to the Blood Yin realm. The aura felt at the entrance of the Blood Yin realm is the same as the aura I'm feeling from the drawing. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, there was a great war shortly after the creation of the vast cold realm. In that great war, lofty dragon true person fought a certain entity from the devil realm, and at the end of the battle against that being, the serving command axe was lodged in their neck, resulting in death. The body of lofty dragon true person, which still remains to this day, became the territory of the True Dragon Alliance. In any case, after that incident, the name of the vast cold realm changed from vast cold to bright cold, and as far as I know, it was around that time the Blood Yin realm separated from the true devil realm. Furthermore, the dark red mass separated from the certain entity from the devil realm that fought against lofty dragon true person, depicted in this mural, emits a similar aura to the Blood Yin realm. And to build the love of virtue axis, one must go to the Blood Yin realm, not the true devil realm. Considering all these points, I come to one conclusion. The Blood Yin realm itself is alive. Not just alive, but practically no different from the belly of some entity. It is a much more sinister and ominous place than the Nether Ghost realm, where true persons engage in observations, or the Ancient Force realm, which is no different from a corpse disposal site. Single quote. It's truly fortunate that I managed to obtain the love of virtue axis in advance. I sigh with a small sense of relief as I organize the contents of the mural. The Blood Yin realm, as a certain living entity, reached out to the remains of lofty dragon true person and created the black mass. Immediately, I think of Hyeon-eum, the Black Dragon King. After all, the term, Black Yin's strategy, is blatantly revealed on the purple soul jade seal. Moreover, Hyeon-eum united with the body of a Blood Yin realm's esteemed one very naturally and freely wielded the power known as vice. Thus, this mural, considered to record the history of the Sea Dragon race, explains the origin of the Sea Dragon race, starting from the Blood Yin realm. The first Sea Dragon King, Ya-eum Purple Yin, is undoubtedly a being derived from the Black Dragon King Hyeon-eum. The reason Sia Wayol has been using devilish arts related to the Blood Yin realm until now. The preparations he made to ascend Yuan Li, whom he infected with tainted soul filling the heavens, to the Blood Yin realm. And the relationship between the Black Dragon King and Sia Wayol. The relationship between the Black Dragon King and Blood Yin. The Sea Dragon race is a race born from Blood Yin. I recall the term, seed dispersion, that is on the purple soul jade seal. On the mural, from the world that seems to represent the ancient force realm, I see small seeds seemingly falling into worlds that resemble stars, thigh, ring finger, and head. I stroke the mural. Why is the name of the head realm? I had a rough idea. That the head realm is a decaying corpse realm made from someone's head. In that case, the illustration on this mural must surely be the head realm. And the seeds scattered on this head realm. Quote. Is it you? I ask as I glare at the drawing in the mural. For some reason, it feels like I hear a whispering, ho ho, coming from that tiny dot-like picture. Are you the bastard? Of course, it's just my imagination. The mural makes no sound. After staring at the mural for a while, I recorded with a recording spell, then turned to Yukio. She seems to have finally collected herself and clears her throat. Quote. I greet the cult leader. Why were you so absorbed in the mural? I was just surprised because it resembles a painting I saw in the library when I was young. If it's a picture you saw in a library as a child. In the library within Penglai Kingdom. At her words, I look at the mural. This mural was in the library. Not exactly the mural, but that part. Quote. Quote. Yukio points to the black something fighting with Lofty Dragon at the start of the mural. The black thing at the start of the mural is just beginning the fight with Lofty Dragon true person. I look at it for a moment, then ask, unable to understand. Quote. Honestly, isn't it just a rough ink smudge on the wall? I can sense some devilish energy leaking out, but there's no chi in Penglai Kingdom, so you probably wouldn't have felt it. How did you recognize it? However, Yukio looks at me with a puzzled expression and says. Quote. Ink smudge. Does cult leader not see that grand appearance Chong? Quote. Quote. I widen my eyes, even drawing a bit of the power of the three great ultimates from my main body to observe, but no matter how I look at it, it's just an ink smudge. Quote. I don't see it. Are you seeing something? I wonder if there is something only visible to Yukio, who was born in Penglai Island. She nods. Quote. Since the cult leader can't see it, I will explain. That drawing is one of the Dharma forms depicted in the Western Heaven Tangwa, a painting located in the Palace Library of Penglai Kingdom. Is that so? Yes. To explain the Western Heaven Tangwa, it's a type of mandala Mancha Luo that depicts an entity called the Wheel Imperial Venerable Che Lun Di Zun at the center, protected by 14 Dharma Kings Fa Wang. Just as there are 13 guardian ghost kings in the order, the Wheel Imperial Venerable also has 14 Dharma kings protecting them. The Dharma form depicted in that mural is very similar to the appearance of the accumulating virtue Dharma King Jide Fa Wang, who is the right seat of the Wheel Imperial Venerable. Although it looks a bit more menacing. What is this Wheel Imperial Venerable? In the Penglai Kingdom state religion, Axis Wheel Path Zhou Lun Dao, they are one of the two great Buddha venerables Da Fu Zun who are worshipped. The great Buddha venerables are referred to as the Axel Imperial Venerable Che Zhou Di Zun and the Wheel Imperial Venerable Che Lun Di Zun, and in Penglai Kingdom, the Axel Imperial Venerable is revered as the highest and is worshipped as the guardian Imperial Venerable. The Wheel Imperial Venerable is also a splendid great Buddha venerable, but they aren't particularly popular. However, there are a few temples within Penglai Kingdom that solely worship the Wheel Imperial Venerable. Yukio finishes her explanation while gazing nostalgically at the ink-smeared mural depicting the black thing. To my eyes and to Baekrin's eyes, it merely appears as ink smeared on a wall, but it seems like something is visible to her. Just in case, I point at the black-red thing that breaks away from the black thing. I suspect it to be the Blood Yin realm. Yukio looks at it for a moment and then tilts her head. Well, it just looks like black-red mist to me. I can't tell. Is that so? I understand. Anyway, it seems important and possibly connects to the secrets of the Sea Dragon race, so I plan to show it to Co Ran. After carefully recording the mural, I walk along the path where the mural is drawn. At the end of the path is something that appears to be a statue of a Sea Dragon race. This is. As soon as I see the Sea Dragon statue, I furrow my brows deeply. Thick devilish energy clings to the statue, and a foul stench of blood emanates from it. The most disturbing thing is, it has a similar spell flow to what Co Wayol used. The statue exudes a flow of devilish energy strikingly similar to the devilish art Co Wayol used, known as blood sacrifice ritual, Blood Yin returning home. Recalling what I know about blood sacrifice ritual, Blood Yin returning home used by Co Wayol, I try to infer the nature of this spell. There's a high chance that blood sacrifice ritual, Blood Yin returning home is a devilish art that creates an attraction force with the Blood Yin realm. It seems likely that this Sea Dragon statue was also created by Yuk-Rin to harness the power of the Blood Yin realm. Quaduduk. I immediately shatter the statue. Ururururu. And when the statue is destroyed, the wall behind it crumbles. It seems there was a hidden secret passage. Beck Rin, does it look like there's something behind? I apologize, cult leader. My consciousness gets bounced back when I try to peer inside. If I force it, it feels like the devilish energy invades my mind so. That's fine. Just protect your consciousness. That information is enough. It's a place important enough for Yuk Rin to have set up a careful barrier. In that case, there's a high probability that the royal palace of Penglai Island, which Yuk Rin stole, is inside there. In other words, the area ahead is Yuk Rin's treasure vault. Well then, shall we take a look at Yuk Rin's treasure vault? I smile faintly and step forward to go inside. Or so I intended. Pieing. Wuduk. I stop in my tracks. A very thin sword energy brushed past my cheek from behind. Ah, right, you were here, now that I think about it. There stands Jin Mayal, smirking with one hand transformed into a grotesque sword. What situation is this, devilish cult leader? Surely, we agreed that the deep sea island was to be explored by my fighting demon pirate gang. I just found a teleportation array connecting from Governing Dragon Island to the deep sea island and came in. Ah, I see. Wonderful. Now that you've rescued your subordinate and Princess Yukyo, go back and return to the sea domain. Sorry, but there's something inside that I need to check. My fighting demon pirate gang will investigate thoroughly and let you know what's inside. Go back up. Wasn't your purpose to get Princess Yukyo this time? Why don't you go back up instead? Surely we agreed beforehand that the deep sea island would be investigated by us. Keep your promise, devilish cult leader. I glare at Jin Mayal, and he glares back at me. So, your goal from the start wasn't Yukyo but the treasure inside the deep sea island. Both. Is that a problem? Rather than a problem, I glance at the mural depicting the secret history of the sea dragon race and speak. There's something inside I need to investigate. I told you I'll investigate and inform you. Leave. Sorry, but it's something I absolutely need to do, you see. Jin Mayal and I glare at each other. And in the next moment, in a fleeting instant, Jin Mayal swings his grotesque sword. The grotesque sword is aimed directly at Beck Rin's head, and the sword is enveloped in his domain, capable of cutting through Beck Rin's heavenly circle and earthly bearings. Kwang! I kick Yukyo and Beck Rin, sending them flying toward the teleportation array. Get out, Beck Rin. Yuk Rin's body was cut like sashimi by me so he won't be able to move for a while. In the blink of an eye, the grotesque sword moves again, targeting me. I deflect his grotesque sword with the All-Heaven sword and glare at Jin Mayal. Are you planning to take me on? Your fighting dance is beneath mine. Jin Mayal smirks at my words. Your main body is truly fearsome, but I can easily handle a mere avatar of yours that can only use fighting dance. And, hoo hey, hoo ha ha ha. The pirates of the fighting demon pirate gang surround Yukyo and Beck Rin as they try to use the teleportation array. I glare at them as I speak. If you kill my subordinates, the contract written on the black ancient paper will punish you. Jin Mayal grins. That's true, but isn't it strange? What? According to the contract terms, when I attacked you, the retribution from the black ancient paper should have descended upon me immediately. But here I am, unharmed. Do you know what this means? It's the power of Penglai Island. Because Yuk Rin brought the palace of Penglai Island here, some of Penglai Island's rules are now applied even to this deep sea island. In other words, within here, contracts are partially nullified, if not completely. Shall we test how far it applies? At his words, the pirates at the 4-axis stage laugh as they press Beck Rin with attraction force. Fine, I'll leave. I grit my teeth slightly and step back. However, Jin Mayal bursts into laughter and says, "Why be like that? Aren't you curious about what's inside?" This isn't fun. This won't do. He looks at me with a lustful gaze as he licks his lips. Let's make a bet. What? It's beneficial for you as well. If you win the bet against me, I'll give you the position of captain of the fighting demon pirate gang. Furthermore, all the treasures inside will be yours. You can investigate whatever you want inside. But if you lose, your subordinate's life is forfeit. Yukyo will also be mine. I will take the treasure inside, and you devilish cultists will be forever stuck in Penglai Island within the deep reaches of the deep sea. How does that sound? Tempting, isn't it? As he gives a signal with his eyes, the cultivators of the fighting demon pirate gang threaten Beck Rin with menacing spells. He calls it a bet, but it's practically a threat. I close my eyes. What kind of bet? It's simple. Inside, there will likely be the salt crystal palace that Yukrin took. Whoever takes hold of that palace first is the winner. Any method is allowed. His eyes are filled with lust. I can tell. Having caught an opportunity, he reveals an intent to want to fight me to fulfill his lustful desires. He has no chance against my main body, but for the fighting ghost race, battling a strong opponent is the greatest pleasure. He intends to feel that pleasure by fighting my avatar. It's unbearably unpleasant. However, after glancing at Baek Rin, I look at him again. Fine. Ha ha ha. As expected, how bold. He licks his lips again with his tongue. I remain silent, quietly gazing at the entrance to Yukrin's treasure vault, and meet Jin Ma Yal's eyes again. Let's start. Good, cult leader. For a moment, we lock eyes. And in the next moment, Tadat, unable to say who went first, Jin Ma Yal and I fly straight behind the statue. We race into Yukrin's treasure vault. Thus begins the treasure hunt with Jin Ma Yal, with the life of my subordinate at stake. Chapter 397, With the Wind 2. Shwa. As I pierce through the barrier formed by the sticky devilish energy, the surroundings brighten. For a moment, I find myself gaping at the overwhelming scene before me. Ancient stones. Golden ancient stones are shining everywhere. Crazy, did they grind up a few islands to create a field of ancient stones? It's truly a treasure trove. In various places, not only ancient stones but also the rare supervisory jade and even a couple of salt crystals can be seen. Besides the ancient stones, there are Dharma treasures made of coral. There are also precious stones known as the seven treasures, such as tridacna, red beads, glass boli, lapis lazuli, and agate scattered around, overflowing with spiritual energy. Above all, the most incredible thing is the pure white palace in the center of this mountain of countless treasures. It's a palace made of salt crystals that Yukrin has taken from Penglai Island. Even I am overwhelmed by this colossal mountain of treasures. Jin Ma Yal is completely entranced, unable to regulate his breathing, inhaling and exhaling repeatedly. Seizing the opportunity, I quickly dash toward the salt crystal palace. Just then, flash, snow-white sword energy scatters a chilling sword light from behind me. I hurriedly turn and block Jin Ma Yal's sword light. This is, my arm tingles. There's no way that Jin Ma Yal could have produced such sword light. When I turn to look at him, Jin Ma Yal has already drawn a pure white sword from the pile of treasures and is pointing it at me. Crazy, just what is that? It's a sword made of pure white salt crystals. Around the sword, the space is subtly trembling, and the engraved characters, Reforming Calendar Gai Li on the sword glows softly, exuding a formidable presence. Do you know the myth about the god of artisans, the heavenly craftsman? The artisan who created countless immortal treasures was said to have crafted a treasure to contain the power of the god of calendar. Long ago, a quasi-immortal at the entering nirvana stage witnessed a shadow of that treasure and was so moved that they attempted to create a replica with salt crystals, producing 3 pieces, but in the end, failed, leaving only 3 failures. What's your point? This is a replica of the immortal treasure Reforming Calendar. Boang. Once again, Jin Ma Yal swings Reforming Calendar, and a sword light that matches Kim Young-hoon's surpassing radiant saber is produced from his hand. Boang. I swing the all-heaven sword to shatter that sword light, then narrow my eyes. I was pushed back. After deflecting the sword light, my foot was pushed back a full kai, 1.1 feet, 33 centimeters. With Jin Ma Yal's original skill, such a thing would have been impossible. Boang. I too look around, trying to find a useful Dharma artifact, but there isn't a single weapon-type Dharma artifact in sight. And I quickly realized why that is. Clang, clang, clang. Dozens of swords, sabers, spears, and divine weapons are suddenly embedded around Jin Ma Yal. That pirate bastard had swiftly unfolded his integrated Dao domain the moment he entered to gather the treasures. Seeing it now, that bastard's integrated Dao domain is specialized not in concealment, but in thievery. I confirm that his greed and his integrated Dao domain are closely connected. I see. Your integrated Dao domain. Did you figure it out? It's unbelievably vulgar. Realizing how he has quickly swept away the surrounding treasures without me noticing, I let out a dry laugh. The ability of his integrated Dao domain. It isn't mere stealth, but rather, the ability to enhance thievery in proportion to his greed. This is truly making my heart beat. I've never seen a place with so many treasures in my life. Ha ha ha, to think Yukrin, that son of a pig, had so many treasures stashed away. Technically, it's the legacy of Sea Dragon King Yuk-ung, but, hee. So these are the treasures of the king of the sea dragon race that is said to be capable of finding paths in the deep sea. Ha ha ha, Jin Ma Yal's eyes glisten. Come at me, devilish cult leader. Here, my greed is at its peak. Here, I am the strongest. He rushes at me, surrounded by dozens, even hundreds, of divine weapons just like Kim Young-hoon did before. Kugwagwagwang, his reforming calendar and my all-heavens sword clash. I feel my entire body tremble at the overwhelming power of reforming calendar. Though his realm is shallow, he compensates for it with the power of the treasured sword and his early integration stage cultivation. Moreover, to make matters worse, the surroundings begin to shake. This is Kugugugugu. The mountain of treasures starts to tremble. At the same time, light bursts from the salt crystal palace at the mountain's peak. Pot. It seems as though an ethereal force is enveloping the area. Simultaneously, our eyes shrink tightly. Has the chi thinned? No. This is an illusion. The salt crystal palace begins to exude a faint illusion, synchronizing the area into a world akin to Penglai Kingdom, where spells and methods cannot be used. Of course, the power is so faint it's pitiful compared to when it was atop Salt Mountain. Nevertheless, the power of both Jin Ma Yal and myself diminish rapidly, and since I am only a seated detachment, standing oblivion avatar with limited energy, my body becomes semi-transparent, on the verge of disappearing. This is insane. Cursing internally, I retreat. Suddenly, the mountain of treasures ripples once more, and a massive dragon emerges from within. Shed skin. It appears to be the discarded husks of Yuk-rin. With Yuk-rin's faint consciousness seemingly embedded within it, the husk wails as it spots us intruding on the mountain of treasures and twists its body violently, attempting to swallow us whole. The husk's own power doesn't seem to even reach the core formation stage, yet unreasonably, it seems unaffected by the illusion, using its energy freely. Sploosh. As the husk squirms, the treasure mountain ripples. Wildly like seawater. Good, this is getting more and more fun. Kong, my all-heavens sword collides with his reforming calendar. With my energy already weakened by the palace's illusion, I am almost annihilated entirely from the impact. Kugugugu. This, useless illusion formation. Though my energy is reduced to the verge of extinction, Jin Ma Yal's energy, being of the integration stage, is at the chi building level. We dodge the attacks of Yuk-rin's husk, clashing our swords against each other. Kong, lacking the energy to freely transform the all-heavens sword, I keep it in the shape of a sword as I engage him. Feigning a horizontal slash, I immediately follow by sweeping his leg to disrupt his lower body and stab his eyes 7 times in quick succession. Quick. Though Jin Ma Yal's head splits open, his body at the chi building level continues to recover endlessly as long as the head isn't severed, relentlessly pressing me. Kugwagwagwang. When he swings reforming calendar, a corner of the treasure mountain which is akin to a small hill collapses. We are engulfed by a tidal wave of ancient stones, battling atop the undulating sea of ancient stones. Spinning from a low stance as if dancing, I slash upwards towards him. Jin Ma Yal's chin splits open. He steps forward, attempting a downward slash from the upper left to lower right. I hook his foot and after breaking his balance, use transcending peaks to cut towards his side. He almost falls but regains his balance, launching 3 consecutive strikes with reforming calendar. The first is countered with echoing valley, also offsetting the second, while the third is deflected using deep mountain. I then close in and cut with secluded valley, following up with bouldered cliff and strange stone consecutively, grinding away at his chest. Kurg. Good. With a flushed expression, he regenerates his body and holds reforming calendar in his right hand and an unknown divine spear in his left. In the air, he has a demon saber, a ghost bow, and countless weapons arranged like a cavalry and charges at me. Kugugugu. His attacks rain down on me like beams of light. But they are shallow. They aren't properly coordinated. Unfolding landscape painting as if dancing, I deflect, redirect, and evade. Splash. The terrain changes once again due to the movement of Yuk-rin's shed skin. I find myself above Jin Ma Yal. Bo-ung. The slashes focus on one spot, biting into one of Jin Ma Yal's weapons like a mountain tiger. Kwang. The sword energy intensifies, and weakened with us, Jin Ma Yal's ghost bow shatters. Spoosh. The terrain changes again. Jin Ma Yal, a pirate accustomed to fighting at sea, is hardly affected by the changing terrain and immediately regains posture and strikes down at me. I use 9 mountains, 8 seas, rotating 90 times on the spot, and adding the rotational force to launch 8 slashes upward. Jin Mayal seems to stagger but regains his stance. Splash. The terrain shifts once more. Our sword moves change as well. Due to the constant transformation of the terrain caused by Yukrin's husk, I have to manipulate the surroundings using mountain and valley transformation to create a terrain favorable to me. Kong, Kagong, Kaga Gagak. Despite everything, he is still at treading heavens. He pressures me with attacks that are seamlessly integrated with martial arts. In a fleeting moment, dozens, hundreds, thousands of exchanges occur. Tong. An ancient stone is launched into the air, and Jin Mayal swings his divine spear at me in sync with it. The stone shatters, scattering in all directions. Some of those fragments rush toward me. I scatter. Sword energy with joy of mountains and peaks, deflecting all incoming stone fragments back towards Jin Mayal's eyes. Immediately switching moves, I use the now 6,000 lights emerging peak of the 12th move of severing mountain swordsmanship, concentrating a massive amount of sword energy onto his spear. Paysack. His spear breaks. Splash. With 3 shifts in the terrain, we exchange an uncountable number of blows, and 77 of Jin Mayal's divine weapons are destroyed. Each time I shatter one of his divine weapons, his expression twists like that of a ferocious evil spirit. It's a rather thrilling feeling, a reaction I hadn't seen when breaking Kim Young-hoon's weapon. We exchange swords. His demon saber grazes past my eyes, and I twist the trajectory of my sword, striking his demon saber upwards. I then strike his saber again with dragon vein, breaking it completely. We exchanged moves. His devil sword pricks my earlobe and he attempts to slice my neck with a change of technique, but the trajectory of the All Heavens sword bizarrely shifts, deflecting the attack. Then, using layered mountains, I create a thicket of sword energy to restrict his movements. Seizing the gap when Jin Mayal pauses momentarily, I use mountain and valley transformation, concentrating it on his devil sword and reducing it to powder with vibrations. We exchange intent. Receiving his now bright red intent, I dodge his dual strike aimed simultaneously at my groin and face. A strand of hair is sliced off. Immediately, I thrust my sword into Jin Mayal's mouth with flowing ridge, and with Mountain Echo's valley response, I channel my sword cry Jianming into his internal organs, causing his entire body to tremble. As he spews blood from his 7 orifices, I shred the mace in his left hand to pieces. Quiguang. And once more, we exchange moves, shattering 3 more of his weapons. How many times have I exchanged blows with him? Now, all that remains in his possession is the first divine sword he held, the weapon called Reforming Calendar. Jin Mayal's eyes are half rolled back as he grinds his teeth. You damn bastard, my children. When were they ever your children? They were Yukrin's. Shut up, I'll kill you. He rages furiously, gripping Reforming Calendar in his right hand and transforming his left into the grotesque sword, unleashing a flurry of sword moves. I'll show you the power of an immortal treasure. Pot. Once again, a terrifying snow-white sword light grazes past me. Indeed, it's a fierce strike. Despite having destroyed all of Yukrin's weapons, the reason I haven't managed to break Reforming Calendar in his hand is simple. It's because the power of Reforming Calendar is far beyond expectations. This is troublesome. Tong, Tong. I try provoking Reforming Calendar several times, but it's unyielding. It's solid. Boong. He swings Reforming Calendar again. Salt crystal itself is the core of the flying immortal formation and allows access to the lower realms. In other words, it's a mineral that interferes with dimensions. Because it interferes with dimensions, the Salt Bones ship of the fighting demon pirate gang, which uses salt crystal as its keel, can dive and navigate freely in the deep sea. And the power of Reforming Calendar, made from such salt crystal, has a surpassing radiant saber-like ability to slice through space even though the energy is thin. Chuik, sploosh. Simultaneously as I dodge Reforming Calendar, Yukrin's husk moves, and the slash from Reforming Calendar directly strikes the waist of Yukrin's husk in an unfavorable position. Slice. Just like that, the waist of Yukrin's shed skin is cut through. Yukrin's husk thrashes like mad, emitting light. I can't break that. I know instinctively. A replica of an immortal treasure crafted by the heavenly craftsman. No, to be precise, it's not even a replica, but a failed product. However, I can feel it. This Reforming Calendar sword is one with an insane level of completion, a divine sword of the world. Could one believe it if I said this single sword has a pressure equivalent to one of the Mad Lord's integration stage puppets? This single sword alone is on par with the Baekhyang fleet. It's to the point where even someone like me, who has no greed for Dharma treasures, feels my heart shake. And such an insane artifact is being wielded by a treading heavens warrior. If Kim Young-hoon were to wield it, I can't guarantee victory even with my main body. If Jang-ik were to wield it, there would be no one to stop him from conquering the bright cold realm. However, how pitiful. Instead of swinging my sword, I look coldly at Jin Ma-yeol, who is consumed by the potential of the reforming calendar sword and wielded by the sword instead. Is this the fighting dance of your fighting ghost race? The attacks of Jin Ma-yeol that initially took the form of the fighting ghost race's fighting dance, are increasingly distorting as he swings reforming calendar, turning into a disorderly mess of garbage. Shut that mouth. How foolish. I click my tongue and concentrate my mind. Since the start of the battle, Jin Ma-yeol has not landed a single effective blow on me. While there is the difference in our realms, it's laughable considering when I fought with seated detachment, standing oblivion Kim Young-hoon on equal footing after just reaching tribulation heavens. At that time, I pushed Kim Young-hoon back with sheer force. But what about this guy? He doesn't have something like the 3 great ultimates. Yet, despite still having a higher cultivation than I do, possessing an overwhelmingly superior weapon, and being older than me, he has been relentlessly toyed with his treasured possessions being shattered apart. Your greed has rotted your martial arts. I mock his sword, deflecting the grotesque sword aiming for my side, then thrust my all heavens sword towards the reforming calendar sword that tries to pierce my eyes. Kukwik. The next moment, blood spatters. My all heavens sword accurately pierces Jin Ma-yeol's grip, halting his sword's advance. Bo-ung. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, my all heavens sword unleashes thousands of stabs in an instant, causing Jin Ma-yeol's grip to explode. Tisk. Yet, his body clings stubbornly to his sword. Even if it's rotten, he's still at tribulating heavens, huh? I make up my mind. Even if I take some losses, I'll have to use it. Swoosh. Once again, the terrain shifts. Unfortunately, the change results in him being slightly above me, and me slightly below him. Without the opportunity to adjust the terrain using mountain and valley transformation, he charges at me. It doesn't matter. I move my sword. Suaa. The all-heavens sword begins to cry. Due to the salt crystal palace, the energy is thin. Both my body and the all-heavens sword are in a weakened state. However, even in that situation, the all-heavens sword becomes distinct again. The sword moves. A faint mist follows in the wake of the sword's trajectory. A martial technique I began creating upon coming to the ancient force realm, integrating everything I have. Severing mountain swordsmanship, the 31st profound move. This is my history. Chapter 398. With the wind 3. Focusing my emotions, I imbue my sword with heart essence. Within Dao Mountain Sword Forest. There, only one sword is shining. That sword is full of nicks and chipped edges. Reflected on the blade is a novice swordsman clad in white. Beyond the transparent blade, a crude 3 great ultimates is visible. This technique is still incomplete, and it was not used because it has the drawback of exploding midway when unleashed. However, right now, I decide it is time to use this unnamed martial move. This treasure hunt that involves hostages between us is already meaningless. The 31st move of severing mountain swordsmanship begins with the very first technique, transcending peaks. Similar to the 30th move, Deep Mountain, Emerging Dao, there are 3 steps chi at the start to transition between planes. Starting with the horizontal/transcending peaks, I move the sword from a lower plane to a higher plane. Then, with a downward slash, I unfold Deep Mountain, Emerging Dao as the second step. Immediately following with a thrust, I launch a seated detachment, standing oblivion single strike at the plane of soul to complete the 3rd step. Thus, unifying all planes my sword reaches through these 3 steps marks the beginning of the 31st move. The immortal cultivation of the Heaven tribe is a method of rising to the plane of fate. The immortal cultivation of the Earth tribe is a method of rising in the plane of chi. The realm of the Heart tribe roams freely at the plane of soul. I encapsulate the path of immortal cultivation I have traversed thus far in my sword path. Through the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd steps, all moves of the severing mountain swordsmanship are connected and interconnected. The 1st step rises from a lower plane to a higher plane through the Heaven tribe method, mimicking the stages of chi gathering, chi refining, core formation, nascent soul, heavenly being, and 4-axis. The 2nd step strikes from a higher plane to a lower plane through the Earth tribe method, causing explosions and imitating the realm of the Earth tribe. The 3rd step was just martial arts up until now. Following the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd steps of horizontal slashing, vertical slashing, and thrusting, I consecutively unfold the 22nd move Severing Mountain 3 times in a row, pressing forward with 66 martial techniques. And then, I activate the combination technique of the 66 moves again. After unleashing the combination technique, within the first, second, and third steps, I fuse all my cultivation techniques, demon abilities, and puppet circuits. This is the still incomplete 31st move of Severing Mountain Swordsmanship. Chua. Sword and swords connect infinitely, exhaling a hazy mist. I engrave my history into my sword path, revealing the effect of the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Each droplet of mist is a gang sphere that has reached the zenith. Chi is being consumed enormously, causing my avatar to flicker as if it's about to vanish. However, the mist begins to rotate in the form of the three great ultimates. Heaven and earth spiritual energy is drawn in. Jin Ma Yal's eyes waver. The three great ultimates rotate. The hazy mist swirls ferociously. Goo. Just from the aftereffects, Yuk Rin's treasure mountain is split apart, and Yuk Rin's husk turns to dust and vanishes. The finale of the 31st move is to unite the three great ultimates into one and manifest a strike that would cleave heaven and earth, causing the phenomenon of split sky. The three great ultimates unite. The hazy mist is dyed pure white. The next moment, quagwagwagwong, as if alive, my technique twists and explodes. Unable to control the explosive force, I am hurled backward along with it. But at the last moment, I concentrate the explosive force on Jin Ma Yal's right hand. And, quaching. Finally, the reforming calendar sword held in his hand is flung away. TSSSSSs. My avatar becomes faint as if it's about to vanish. Did Yuk Rin's shed skin serve a role as the axis of the illusion formation? As the husk turns to dust, the illusion formation trembles and collapses. The scenery of the otherworld that overlapped with this space until moments ago disappears, and the thin chi returns to its original state. However, the clash just now is clearly a loss to me. Had I focused the explosion more onto Jin Ma Yal's body, I could have entirely grinded away his upper body, but seeing his gaze at the last moments, I deliberately took some of the explosive force onto myself. Chi, drawing in heaven and earth spiritual energy, he regenerates the wounds all over his body. In contrast, my body is fading, unable to withstand the aftermath of the explosive force. Though I would slowly recover as the heaven and earth spiritual energy is returning, at this rate, I will lose to Jin Ma Yal. Yet, instead of seizing this excellent opportunity to attack, Jin Ma Yal bites his lip and stares at me. What was that just now? I haven't decided on a name yet. I'm not asking about the name. How did you combine cultivation realm and fighting dance? His eyes are trembling violently as if shaking like an aspen tree. How did you do it? Tell me. Goo. As he roars, I can feel the entire deep sea island shaking beyond Yuk Rin's treasure vault. I look at Jin Ma Yal and smile. You can do it too. What kind of nonsense? What is that in your hand? What have you been wielding all this time? At my shout, Jin Ma Yal is dumbfounded and then shivers. I ask as I raise my energy-drained body. What is the name of what you are unfolding? Second stage fighting steps of fighting dance. I asked what is the name of what you are unfolding. Clearly, Jin Ma Yal has the advantage in energy. He also has the advantage in stamina. If he and I were to clash now, he would easily eliminate my avatar and seize all the treasures here. However, Jin Ma Yal avoids my gaze and lowers his eyes instead as if wanting to hide in a mouse hole at my shout. I don't know. Raise your sword. He briefly glances at the reforming calendar sword that had been flung from his hand, clenches his lips, and transforms his hand into the grotesque sword. I will ask again, what is it you hold in your hand? He lowers his head. The intent of shame reveals itself within his heart. The fighting ghost race becomes aroused through combat. Thus, they elevate their realm and grow faster than anyone else through combat, becoming the most excellent warriors compared to any other race. They clash with other races, emulating their physiques, and indulge endlessly in ecstasy and frenzy, fighting until they die. That is the fighting ghost Dog Wei. Jin Ma Yal, born as a fighting ghost race, has lived that way until now. Through the traditional ritual of the fighting ghost race known as fighting dance, he entered the first stage of fighting steps. A few hundred years ago, he fought with someone from the Conqueror King's forces called the Surpassing Radiant Divine Demon, who appeared in the ancient force realm, gaining inspiration to enter the second stage of fighting steps. Reaching the second stage of fighting steps, something only those with extraordinary talent among the royal family of the fighting ghost race might achieve, Jin Ma Yal's confidence soared to its peak. Now, he is superior to any other of the fighting ghost race. If he only lives long enough, he is confident. He can surpass the third stage of fighting steps and reach the fourth stage of fighting steps, which is said to have been reached by the creator of the fighting dance. He felt like the world was in his grasp. He already seemed to see the ultimate limits of fighting dance flickering before his eyes. His life has never stopped once. Although minor obstacles have blocked his path, he believed he could overcome them as he always had. But, I don't know. Jin Ma-yal lowers his eyes before a human swordsman he has always looked down upon. His entire body is trembling. The beautiful sword dance he has just witnessed still flickers before his eyes. It's often said that when one's realm is too low, they cannot recognize the moves of those at a higher realm. However, Jin Ma-yal's realm is at the second stage of fighting steps. Regardless of anything, he possesses a sufficient level of insight, and since he isn't at too low a realm, Jin Ma-yal can comprehend some of the enlightenment imbued in that sword dance. It's immature. There seem to be many areas that need improvement, and it's evident that the man before him can't control his sword path. The fact that the sword techniques exploded due to lack of control over the sword path is laughable, something even a passing carp would find amusing. Yet, Jin Ma-yal can't laugh. Because the moment he saw that sword, he realized that the fighting dance he has learned is even more worthless. The swordsmanship that began with 3 movements was elegant. It was the murmuring of countless crowds. A miserable attempt to integrate heaven, earth, and heart. At the same time, it was the immaturity of a novice swordsman in a trash-like waste. However, the murmuring within the sword constantly discussed the direction the sword should advance. The misery continually pushed the sword to develop. The immaturity, through comprehension, refined the trash-like sword path. A sword containing infinite possibilities. That was the sword displayed by the man before his eyes. And when that man, who showcased that beautiful potential, asked a question Jin Ma-yal had never contemplated before, Jin Ma-yal felt an indescribable shame. It's humiliating. Just why is it, exactly? The fighting ghost race only learns the fighting dance, but they don't bother assigning names to it. To them, the fighting dance is merely one of the many ways to enjoy copulation. Everyone thinks so, and thus Jin Ma-yal never considered naming the fighting dance as well. Because it's common sense. But now, what stands before his eyes is a sword reaching a realm that can never be touched by mere common sense. To speak of common sense in front of that sword is an act that would make Jin Ma-yal himself trash. Am I trash? The grand cultivator of the fighting ghost race, Jin Ma-yal, who has always been overflowing with confidence, falls into despair for the first time in his life and trembles all over. In front of that sword, he seems so small. He wants to cry. Holding a sword has always been joyous, but not this time. He wants to hide somewhere, anywhere. But he can't hide. I will ask again, what is it you hold in your hand? That person is asking. He must answer that question. Because he knows that if he doesn't, he will remain trash forever. An instant as long as eternity passes. Jin Ma-yal hesitates, choosing and re-choosing his words. And finally, feeling as though he will vomit inside his shameful emotions, he speaks the name of what is in his hand. Lust Yu Qing. Yes, what he has been wielding, or rather, what 99.9% of the fighting ghost race wield is that? No. Instinct Ben Nang. Yes, this is instinct. To Jin Ma-yal's answer, the man before him nods. Yes, that's correct. Although he expected it, hearing a direct confirmation makes Jin Ma-yal feel a wave of nausea. It feels as if the fighting dance he has practiced, the entire history of the fighting ghost race, is being utterly denied. He has always believed their fighting dance to be superior. But it is not. Their fighting dance is merely an extension of the fighting ghost race's instincts. He looks at his sword with a dazed expression and asks, If so, is fighting dance wrong? And that person replies, it might be, then, or it might not be. At his words, Jin Ma-yal's pupils constrict. If you know what you've been wielding all this time, then think about how you will wield it from now on. Is it because he is in a higher realm and can clearly read Jin Ma-yal's heart essence? Or is it simply because his sword is so lacking that it's obvious how he should be advised? Jin Ma-yal grits his teeth at his advice. And he raises his grotesque sword. I will swing it once. The man nods. The next moment, the two martial artists clash. Jin Ma-yal, with the energy of the integration stage, and the heart tribe, at the level of the fourth stage of fighting steps, collide. But there is no explosion. There is no shockwave, only Jin Ma-yal's grotesque sword is cleanly cut. No, it isn't just his sword that is cut. His upper body and domain are entirely sliced away. Until just a moment ago, when he fought with the reforming calendar sword, they seemed to match quite evenly. Their levels seemed similar. At least, that's what Jin Ma-yal thought. Thud, Jin Ma-yal collapses, defeated in a single strike, slumping down on the mountain of ancient stone. It's a bitter defeat. However, a peaceful smile, one he has never worn even when mating, is now on his face. Quote. Thank you. He has lost. The Salt Crystal Palace he originally aimed for, the treasures of Yukrin's treasure vault, and the once-in-a-lifetime divine sword, the reforming calendar sword, will all fall into Xiao Unyun's hands. But it doesn't matter. The next realm is in sight. The third stage of fighting steps, which no one in the fighting ghost race has reached for tens of thousands of years, seems fleetingly within his grasp. He is satisfied with that. The next realm is before my eyes. His vision blurs. His consciousness scatters. His body grows cold. It's a little different from the conclusion Jin Ma-yal had envisioned, but he smiles. Having exhausted all his resurrections and failed to fully obtain purple soul filling the heavens, the unaging and undying he aimed for is out of reach, but it doesn't matter. The soul hun of fighting dance. Because he discovered the joy of what Xiao Unyun calls martial arts. Thus, the grand cultivator of the fighting ghost race and captain of the fighting demon pirate gang. Jin Ma-yal died. He was an unpleasant guy from the first meeting. Originally, when I unleashed the 31st move, I intended to completely crush him with explosive force. But at the last moment, his eyes changed from those of a beast to those of a martial artist. As a fellow martial artist, I decided to take on his strength and give him a chance. And although Jin Ma-yal charged like a beast, he died as a martial artist. After looking at Jin Ma-yal's corpse for a moment, I swing the all-heavens sword. Ku-gu-gu-gu-gu. The mountain of ancient stone and treasures above him collapses. Buried under golden treasures, the martial artist Jin Ma-yal completely disappeared from the world. Chapter 399. With the wind. 4. Step, I slowly walk toward the palace and touch one of its pillars. Unlike what I have seen before, one of the pillars of the palace is missing. It seems Yukrin used it when cultivating the salt sea returning dew jade. The fact that such precious salt crystal is required to this extent for the progress of salt sea returning dew jade is honestly ridiculous cost-performance-wise. While its power seems exceptional, seeing the issues it caused in Yukrin's mind makes me less inclined to desire it, even if its power is outstanding. Whether the mental illness was triggered by the salt sea returning dew jade or due to external intervention, it doesn't matter. In any case, it means the salt sea returning dew jade offers no assistance in comprehending one's heart, unlike the great mountain splitting emperor technique or its variations. I enter the interior of the palace. The structure is exactly the same as when I entered from Penglai Kingdom before. However, the palace in Penglai country was filled with specialties of its country, decorations, and artifacts obtained from there, while the current palace is desolate with only a few documents seemingly written by Yukrin lying around. I head to the library where I saw the ritual worship scripture of love of virtue, but it's empty. It's as if everything I saw in Penglai Nation was an illusion. After looking at the palace for a while, I am able to figure something out. This palace, it's connected to Penglai Island's Salt Mountain and attraction force. It's a fact I can recognize, having communed with Salt Mountain with my main body for over 80 years. The attraction force is so weak that it's hard to discern this fact. And if it's connected to the Salt Mountain, I sit cross-legged, close my eyes at the center of the palace where the throne of Penglai Kingdom's queen used to be, and recite the formula of the reversed Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. Wo Wang, the Salt Crystal Palace glows white. And at some moment, Wu Wang, the Salt Crystal Palace appears to shine dazzlingly white and incandescently, and I feel my mind being pulled somewhere. And in the next moment, chatter, chatter, chatter. I slowly open my eyes. Quote. This place. The surroundings are noisy. I am sure I was definitely alone inside the palace. Before I know it, numerous high and low-ranking officials before the throne in the royal court are looking at me with bewildered expressions, and their piercing gazes are stabbing. You crazy king of demon spirits. What are you doing? Get down at once. This insolent one. They are all clamoring at me in unison. My senses are dizzy at first so I can't understand what they are saying, but I soon grasp the meaning of their words. Squirm, squirm, something is squirming beneath me. I quickly stand up and look at the throne. On the throne sits the Queen of Penglai Kingdom, glaring at me with a slightly flushed face. Quote. For two people to suddenly appear and sit on me, I almost suffocated to death. Why have you appeared again unexpectedly? What do you want now? Please wait a moment. I feel a headache coming on. The headache soon intensifies, and abruptly the illusion in front of my eyes blurs, and I find myself back in the empty palace. Quote. I see. Just a moment ago, I was startled and temporarily stopped reciting the mantra of the revered Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. Reciting the mantra of the reversed Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique crosses me into that world, and when I stop, I return. Is that it? It seems to be a peculiar situation caused by the separation between the Salt Crystal Palace and the Salt Mountain of Punglai Island. I smile at the amusing situation, and step outside the palace. Just then, zing, quote. Exclamation mark quote. I suddenly feel an intense headache coming on. What is this? It isn't a pain just affecting my seated detachment, standing oblivion avatar, but even my main body on Punglai Island is in agony. I shift my main consciousness to my main body to find out what is happening. And then, I immediately understand the situation. Quote. 3 days. Coming to my senses above the Salt Mountain, I am so dumbfounded I open my mouth blankly. In the short span I entered Punglai Kingdom and opened my eyes, 3 days have quickly passed. And this phenomenon is not unfamiliar. Single quote. When I met that, I can't remember the name, but the encounter with a certain being I met at the lowest floor of the Serving Command Arc. At that time, I endured for over 10 years inside, only to find that it was an incredibly short period in reality upon regaining my senses. A phenomenon of space-time distortion. This is related to a true immortal. I can tell at a glance. It must be an intervention by the owner of Salt Mountain or something related to them. I feel fear, but this isn't a situation where I can flee just because I am afraid. I grit my teeth and transfer my main consciousness back to my seated detachment, standing oblivion avatar and explore Yukrin's treasure vault. Single quote. Jin Ma Yal's corpse is gone. I frown as I exit the vault. Outside the treasure vault, only Baek Rin and Yukyo remain. The entire fighting demon pirate gang has disappeared. Quote. What happened? Well, the fighting demon pirate gang took the body of Jin Ma Yal and immediately fled. They must have thought cult leader would annihilate them upon your return. So they ran away. I feel another headache coming on. Damn it, I need their salt bones shipped to transport Baek Rin. Since they ran away, there's nothing I can do. Of course, since the salt bones ship is modified under Buk Hyunghwa's instructions, I can track it once it surfaces. However, I notice something strange and ask them. Quote. What about Yukrin? What happened to him? The fight between Kim Young-hoon and Yukrin seemed evenly matched, but in a long-term battle, it would be Kim Young-hoon's defeat. It's only natural, because Kim Young-hoon is just an avatar. There's no way the Yukrin who defeated Kim Young-hoon's avatar would simply stay put. Shouldn't he have entered this deep-sea island right away using the teleportation array? However, to my question, Baek Rin and Yukyo exchanged glances before speaking in a bewildered tone. Well, cult leader, we know you can channel the power of your main body through your avatar. Would you consider drawing the main body's senses for a moment? Following Baek Rin's suggestion, I use the All Heavens sword to draw the power and consciousness of my main body. And when I sweep the deep-sea island with my consciousness, quote. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. I freeze as if struck by lightning. The deep-sea island, which should have been fixed in place, is moving. No, although it is gradually slowing down, it is indeed still moving. How did this happen? We're not sure either. The distance between the middle zone of governing Dragon Island and this deep-sea island has increased, making it impossible to use the teleportation array, so we're trapped here. Just what? While taken aback, I spread my consciousness even further to find out how the deep-sea island is moving. And during that process, I realize something. Wu Wang, Punglai Island, above the Salt Mountain. I shift my main consciousness back to my main body and, along with the avatar on Deep-Sea Island, begin chanting the mantra of the reversed Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. Wu Wang, the Salt Mountain I am sitting on starts to emit light. Simultaneously, in the Deep-Sea Island where my avatar is located, the Salt Crystal Palace also begins to glow. This time, since I am not inside the Salt Crystal Palace, my consciousness is not pulled into that world. However, I can clearly feel it. They are pulling each other. And that force is unexpectedly immense. I chuckle wryly and say, quote. Seems we won't need the help of the fighting demon pirate gang. The attraction force between Penglai Island's Salt Mountain and Yuk Rin's Deep Sea Island's palace is pulling towards each other with tremendous power. Baek Rin and Yuk Yo, and the entire Deep Sea Island where my avatar is situated is being drawn toward this side. I send a voice transmission throughout the Twilight Domain and Penglai Island. Rejoice, everyone! The operation to rescue the Guardian Ghost King, Baek Rin, has finally concluded. Now, all that remains is to wait for Gyo Yom and escape from Penglai Island. Upon hearing my explanation, Baek Rin and Yuk Yo's eyes widen in astonishment as they ask. Are we really returning to the order, cult leader? Are you saying you really returned to Penglai Kingdom? I nod in response to both of their questions. The two seem momentarily satisfied with my answer, but then they look at each other again. I sigh, sensing the subtle emotions between them. It appears that for these two, the question of where they will return to has become more important than simply going back. Quote. Thus, for the moment, the issues facing our order have been resolved. In the Wuji Religious Hall's conference room, I brief everyone with my main body about everything that has happened. That's a relief. Although I fought that Yuk Rin guy for a day and night and inflicted a fatal injury, it still drained my avatar's energy. I was a bit worried. Thankfully, it seems to have worked out well. Kim Young-hoon sighs in relief, and Oh Yun-sok agrees with him. Jaeon Myung-hoon nods stoically, and both Kim Yeon and Buk Hyung-hwa smile faintly at the same time. Seo Ran shows a disappointed expression after hearing about the relationship between Yuk Yo and Baek Rin but gets a glare from Shiho. It's really fortunate that things worked out. However, there's still one issue we need to discuss. I look at Kim Young-hoon, Seo Ran, Shiho, and Buk Hyung-hwa as I speak. Conqueror King, you said there haven't been any results from researching Penglai Island yet, right? Yes, we have examined the axes of Penglai Island's formations, but we couldn't find any clues to rescue Sir Cheongmin Ryong. Buk Hyung-hwa reports the fact with regretful eyes. For the past 80 years, Buk Hyung-hwa, along with Seo Ran, Shiho, and others have been exploring and researching Penglai Island to save Cheongmin Ryong. However, they couldn't find any clues here. In that case, to obtain a proper clue, we must reunite the Salt Crystal Palace and the Salt Mountain of Penglai Island. Or, we must enter the illusion formation to gather information from the people of that world. Particularly, the Queen of the Penglai Kingdom seems to know something, so asking her would be most appropriate. However, there is a problem with this. First, regarding the first method. That Deep Sea Island, was it called Cherry Blossom Dragon Island? Even though Cherry Blossom Dragon Island is quickly coming here, the interdimensional distance in the deep sea is too vast. I can't figure out where exactly that unidentifiable hand has thrown us. Considering the attraction force between the Salt Mountain and the palace, the speed at which they are getting closer, and the current gap between Cherry Blossom Dragon Island and Penglai Island in the deep sea, it will take a long time for Cherry Blossom Dragon Island to reach here. Approximately. About 7 years. This is entirely because the depths of the Ancient Force Realm's deep sea are much more unstable than the Chaos Realm domain in each middle realm. I've heard that in the Chaos Realm domains, space frequently gets distorted, and distances lengthen or decrease randomly. The entrance to Lofty Dragon True Person's storage scroll I went to last time is a place close to the stable realm and is very stable, so it can't be compared to a true Chaos Realm domain. However, the depths of the Ancient Force's deep sea are even more severely distorted. It isn't for nothing that even integration stage cultivators have a 50% chance of getting lost if they fall into the deep sea. Still, Penglai Island and Cherry Blossom Dragon Island are linked by attraction force, allowing them to approach each other rapidly, hence the estimation of 7 years. But 7 years means that the time is now drawing near. Buk Hyung-hwa asks worriedly. If it's 7 years, isn't the grand event just around the corner? That's right. So, even if the palace merges with the Salt Mountain again, there won't be enough time to investigate properly. Therefore, Kim Yeon's face turns pale. It's too dangerous, Eun-yeon oppa. At her words, the others also look at me with worried expressions. That's right, Seo Eun-yeon. Aren't you saying you'll enter Penglai Kingdom alone to investigate? It's dangerous. Moreover, didn't you say the time ratio is different in that world? Yeah, Eun-yeon, if you're asleep when you exit to the bright cold realm, wouldn't that just be over? After listening to everyone, I look at Kim Yeon. It's okay, she will wake me up. I slowly explain my plan. I don't intend to spend time investigating without knowing how much time is passing inside. Using the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, I will partially connect mine and Kim Yeon's minds. Afterwards, I will enter Penglai Kingdom, gather information there, and when the time approaches, Kim Yeon will send me a signal through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. I will then exit from Penglai Kingdom. That should work. Kim Yeon bites her lip with a worried look in her eyes. I don't want to take such a risk on purpose either. There's a chance that some suspicious mechanism might activate while I'm inside and swallow my memories. Of course, according to the conditions for regaining awareness mentioned by Yukyo, it doesn't seem likely. In any case, there is some risk involved. But I shake my head with a determined expression. I'm sorry, everyone, but I must find a way to release Cheongman Ryong from the salt pillar. We can't delay any longer. Cheongman Ryong is still asleep as a salt pillar in that world. I can't leave him like that indefinitely. The ancient force is a world that reacts particularly well to the great mountain-splitting emperor technique and the power of salt. I must discover the reason while I remain in this world. If not in the ancient force realm, there might not be another chance. Realizing my firm will, they sigh. Kim Yeon, knowing she can't stop my will, bites her lip and lowers her head. All right, if you insist, go and come back safely. Thank you. I express my gratitude to her and everyone in the Wuji religious order. Wo Wang, with Kim Yeon's wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon attached to my heart essence, I stand in front of the Salt Crystal Palace. I am curious about Yuk Rin's documents inside, but for now, this is more urgent. By the way, are you also coming along? I ask Yukyo, who stands beside me. Of course, it's my homeland, after all. As expected, Yukyo decides to accompany me inside. Her reason is to return to Penglai Kingdom. However, I look at her and then at Baek Rin. What will you do, Baek Rin? I don't know. Baek Rin seems to hope that Yukyo will drag him inside. Yet, Yukyo does not plead with Baek Rin to come along. She seems to understand as well. Baek Rin already has too many precious people in this world. Can't you stay in this world with us, princess? But Yukyo shakes her head at Baek Rin's words. I'm sorry, Sir Baek Rin. To me, that world is truly my home. Baek Rin hesitates to follow her, and Yukyo approaches him and gently touches his hand. They stay like that for a moment, then the two part. Is this how it ends? I feel an inexplicable regret as I walk toward the palace. Yukyo walks toward the palace with me. While reciting the mantra of the reversed Great Mountain-Splitting Emperor technique, I place my hand on Yukyo's shoulder. Boong. And, as we step into the entrance of the palace. I feel my consciousness shifting again and arrive in another world. The scene before my eyes change, and I am able to see a new landscape. A corridor lined with numerous soldiers. In front of me stands the Queen of Penglai Kingdom, and Yukyo, whose shoulder I have been holding, has somehow transformed from a carp demon of the nascent soul stage into a human princess wearing beautiful ancient ceremonial robes. The Queen of Penglai Kingdom wipes her tears upon seeing Yukyo. Welcome back, my daughter. Mother. Yukyo hurriedly runs to the queen, and I watch the reunion of mother and daughter for a moment. After a while, the Queen of Penglai Kingdom looks at me and says, there was a bit of a commotion earlier, but considering the circumstances, I will overlook it. After all, you have brought my daughter back to me, and not welcoming guests properly would be disgraceful. I will hold a banquet, so please enjoy. However, I shake my head and reply, I did not bring the princess to be entertained at a banquet. I have something I wish to know. I look at the Queen of Penglai Kingdom. Please tell me everything you know. Chapter 400. With the Wind 5. She looks at me for a moment before speaking. All right, if my benefactor wishes for information, I shall provide it. I walk with her down the palace corridor. After walking for a while, the Queen, Yukyo, and I arrive at the library. The first thing she does upon arriving at the library is to dismiss all the subjects and guards before entering a corner of the library. Your Majesty, this place is. It is time for you to know as well. The various affairs of Penglai Kingdom. It's when the Queen places her palm on a corner of a wall. Flash. The wall seems to glow, and then it turns into a bright white door that opens. Creak. The Queen walks inside the door, and Yukyo and I follow her inside. Exclamation mark quote. And I can't help but be startled by the scene beyond the door. Darkness. The entire world is covered in pitch-black darkness. Yet, strangely, I feel that I can discern what lays ahead in this darkness. It isn't due to using consciousness or awakening a special sense. Despite being in darkness, I can see ahead. It's a peculiar space that can only be explained that way. And I have been in such a space once before. This is the same space as when I faced that being. At the bottom of the serving command arc, it's the exact same feeling as when I met them presumed to be a true immortal. Step, I follow the queen, and though Yukyo is flustered, fumbling. As she moves forward, she manages to walk well. How long do we walk through the darkness? Twinkle, quote. Unlike my previous encounter with them, I see a bright white light twinkling ahead. Yukyo, possibly delighted to see the light, quicken her pace as she moves toward it. Meanwhile, I recall the warnings given by many beings to be wary of the light, and decide to slow down instead. Come this way. What are you doing? Quote. Understood. As I hesitate, the queen looks at me curiously and speaks. We arrive at the place with the light, and I can finally see what the source of the light is. Quote. Salt. It is, amusingly enough, salt. Salt is placed on a small brazier, and a soft, white light emanates from it, illuminating the surroundings. The surroundings are the library. A library shrouded in darkness. The queen takes out 3 chairs from one side of the library and hands them to Yukyo and me before taking out another for herself to sit on. Sit down, as this could become a dull story. Please understand that I cannot offer you tea. Quote. That's all right. By the way, is it not uncomfortable? Except for the darkness and the light, it is quite pleasant. I watch the light emanating from the salt with a sense of caution. Isn't it true that important discussions should take place not in the light but in the darkness? The Queen of Penglai Kingdom gives a meaningful smile at my words. It seems you fear the light. It's not so much fear as it is caution. So you know who you fear. You fear the god of light, don't you? Quote. I flinch in surprise and stand up, clutching my head while looking back and forth between Yukyo and the Queen of Penglai Kingdom. But neither the Queen nor even Yukyo show any reaction, only blinking their eyes. Even more so, I'm also okay. No matter how much I have recently developed a slight tolerance to higher beings, nothing unusual occurring despite higher beings being mentioned is strange. It's when I am bewildered. When one looks up at the summit of a great mountain, their neck cranes because the mountain is so tall. However, if the mountain is partly shrouded in clouds, their gaze stops at the clouds, with no strain on the neck. With her words, I realize that this space is safe. Is it all right to mention them? At least for my daughter and I. As for you, I cannot say. If you're worried, don't mention them recklessly. Quote. I understand for now. Then this light, I ask while looking at the white light seeping from the salt. The queen smiles faintly and says, Axel Imperial Venerable. No, do you dreamers call them the god of Salt Mountain? Quote. I'm startled by those words but quickly calm down. Come to think of it, it makes sense. Since Penglai Island is obviously the domain of the owner of Salt Mountain, it isn't surprising that they are considered a god or Buddha venerable of Penglai Island. Hold on, then what existence is the Wheel Imperial Venerable? While I am puzzled, he pats my shoulder to stop me. He is telling me it's best not to mention that name in the darkness. Ah, yes, I understand. Having experienced firsthand through Zhengli how serious the consequences can be for mentioning a name carelessly, I remain silent. The queen points to the glowing salt and says, according to the legends, the Axel Imperial Venerable stole the light from the domain of light. When they shaped this world, they used the light they had taken to illuminate the world, and what remained, they bestowed upon us. Quote. Then is all the light in Penglai Island safe? Then why did we come into such a dark place? This question suddenly occurs to me, and I ask. But she shakes her head and says, light can go anywhere. Do you know how much external light comes in whenever Penglai Kingdom is connected to the outside world? The light from outside has already mixed to some extent. The pure light of the Axel Imperial Venerable remains only here. I heard that on the day Penglai Island opened, Heilin forbid the light of the ancient force realm itself, but apparently even that wasn't enough. Well, I understand. Then may I ask what I'm curious about? Ask away. I'll tell you what I know, or recommend a book from the library. She gestures with a gentle voice to the dark library around us. I contemplate what to ask then question her. Did Yukrin ever enter this library? She shakes her head at my words. In this library, only those who know the Axel Imperial Venerable can enter. Others can't even perceive the entrance door. The Imperial Venerable set it up that way. There are a few more restrictions, but they are trivial. In any case, he did not know the Axel Imperial Venerable, so he could not set foot here. Quote. I see. The entry condition is unexpectedly formidable. One must know the governing immortal to enter. Among mortals, only someone like me or Sio Whale would dare to enter. I shake my head and continue with the next question. It's a seemingly trivial but important question. Quote. Why are the people of this country human? The Queen of Penglai Kingdom gives me a look as if she doesn't understand what gibberish I'm saying. Ah, it seems you don't quite understand. Where should I start explaining? If you asked Earthlings, why is the dominant species on Earth humans, you would likely receive the same kind of look. However, I, having lived in this world for thousands of years, know it well. In this world, the human race is not a particularly noble existence. They are just one of the many intelligent species and are among those who occupy the 6 pillars of the Heaven tribe in the bright cold realm due to their vicious nature, even without any backing from an esteemed one. They are remarkable if they are remarkable, but they are not such a special race. A moderately dominant species that found its place in the world. That is the human race. But Penglai Kingdom is strange. Why is it that, despite numerous races entering Penglai Island to play roles in the world, did they walk around in human form in Penglai Kingdom? Yukyo is a hybrid carp of the demon race, but in Penglai Kingdom, she is a half-human, half-dragon. Jin Ma Yal is of the fighting ghost race, but upon entering, he's a perfectly normal human. Of course, there are plenty of various demon spirits, but it's a bit unnatural for the ruler of this world to be, deliberately, human. After listening to my explanation, the Queen seems to think for a moment before speaking. I don't really know about that. To us, this is the natural world, but I do know where there might be information about why, specifically, humans are the dominant species. The Queen points to one side of the library. It's a library filled with bamboo scrolls. Read the information over there. You might find what you're looking for. Perhaps. I get up from my seat and take out the bamboo scrolls. It's a kind of mythological text. Among them, a book titled Penglai Chronicles has a shallow account of how the world of Penglai Kingdom was created. In the beginning, there existed a world full of illusionary dreams. The Axel Imperial Venerable felt sorry for this and, with the help of the Wheel Imperial Venerable, Hyeon Go Zongu, Black Ancient, and 3 heavenly kings, created a new heaven. The Wheel Imperial Venerable rolled the wheel to guide virtuous souls under the new heaven, and the 3 heavenly kings performed all sorts of miracles to cultivate a land where we could live. The primordial giant Hyeon Go, at the request of the Axel Imperial Venerable, made a promise to prevent the snakes from entering this land. Hyeon Go. Seeing a familiar name, I look at the description of this being. The shadow of Hyeon Go when they made the promise became the flesh of our souls, giving birth to us. We have 2 eyes and 2 ears. It's a description of humans. Although the size of the entity known as Hyeon Go being described is a bit, well, very large. The first giant who covered the entire sky with one hand. That is Hyeon Go, Black Ancient. The contents of the bamboo scroll end there. Looking around, there is another scroll that explains about Hyeon Go. They are the greatest divine beast. They are called the god who governs all oaths and contracts. As the owner of names, they are said to preside over naming of all in heaven and earth. Black Ancient Paper, Black Ancient Plaque. Only then do I understand why the most revered contract in the ancient force realm is called Black Ancient Paper. The divine spirit governing all oaths and contracts is none other than Hyeon Go. However, I suddenly feel my heart begin to pound. Wait, have I just learned the true name of a great being? Tingle, tingle, it's fine here and now, but if I remember this name when I go outside, I'll be watched, I'll be watched, I'll be watched. Thump, thump, thump. As I calm my heart trembling like an aspen tree, I continue reading the bamboo scrolls and find something reassuring. It's about an existence recorded in another scroll besides this one. Zyaji. They are another divine beast. They are the beast entrusted with symbolizing all peace and well-being. In these bamboo scrolls, they refer to immortal beasts as divine beasts. The names used to express immortal beasts are not their true names, so knowing them isn't a problem. Thus, the name, Hyeon Go, is not the true name of the being but refers to the species of this being. And I realize one more thing here. The meaning behind humans becoming the dominant species of Penglai Kingdom due to the entity known as Hyeon Go is. Just as names like Black Dragon or Lofty Dragon are given when a dragon race becomes an immortal beast. If a human becomes an immortal beast, the name Goku Ancient is attached to them. Charik. After resolving my necessary questions, I roll up the bamboo scrolls and put them back. While I was reading the scrolls, it seemed that the two others became bored. Yukyo tried to move one of the chairs, and the queen began lecturing her on her behavior. I interrupt their conversation and ask a question. This has been a great help. May I ask the next question? Go ahead. It is regarding the Axel Imperial Venerable. I assume you know well about this topic. I do, indeed. You might feel it's blasphemous, but please answer. Is the Imperial Venerable truly dead?